So, hi everyone, this is Ghalib, and you're watching me on YouTube. Today, this stream is going on both channels. It's also going on Holy Humanist, that is Nuriyah's channel. And I think you guys know about Nuriyah already. You've heard her many times on Haris's channel, and she is just hitting the ex-Muslim world with the storm, and she's doing great work. So, Nuriyah, I'd like to welcome you today. This is the first time that you and I are doing it together,
Mhm.
and hopefully we are going to have a very good discussion, and we are going to have an insight into what problems Muslim women face when they leave Islam, and what other general problems they face. So
Mm.
welcome, and I
Thank you so
hope.
much, Ghalib. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And yeah, it's the first time we're collabing, hopefully not the last, but yeah, thank you.
So Nuria, just a few brief questions. So how
Yeah.
long you have been an atheist?
Um,
Because
s-
I
yeah,
think most of the people know, but my audience, I don't know if they are. There might be some who don't know you yet, but
yeah.
hopefully today they would. So, how long it has been that you left Islam behind?
I always want to answer that question with not long enough. I wish I left it a long time
Yeah, yeah.
before I actually did. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, unfortunately, I left when I was about 27. So
Uh-huh.
about, yeah, 4 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, that's it really. And then obviously I've just entered this space even more recently because I realized, okay, it's time to speak up. So yeah, just about 4 years for me.
Okay. So, I don't know if you've heard it, if you know about this. We are going to come later. We are going to ask why, if something comes to my mind, I would also ask you about this. But I think from the get-go, we should get one thing clear here, that
Mm,
there is this important news that is coming out of Afghanistan, and it is a kind of a very sad news. I'm really saddened by it, and I really feel for these girls who are facing all of this there. So R has sent us a super sticker. Thank you, R. And we are going to I'm going to share this with you, and hopefully, because you are going to see this from a different, point of view. I am a man, and man cannot see this thing in the same way that women do. And what does a woman feel when she sees this kind of situation going on? And this is a sad reality which is hitting us right now. And in the wake of US leaving Afghanistan, we don't know how deep these kinds of problems are in the society right now. But I think things will become much more difficult. So let's get to it, and then we are going to come back to the other
Our
things.
world lead now in a distressing story out of Afghanistan showing the harsh reality of the humanitarian crisis engulfing the country, especially post Taliban rule. Desperate families so impoverished, they tell CNN they have no choice but to sell their young daughters into some twisted form of marriage. In this exclusive report, CNN witnesses the tragic fate facing these helpless little girls in this culture where girls and women are too often treated horrifically. The parents gave us full access and permission to talk to the children and show their faces because they say they cannot change the practice themselves. CNN's Anna Corin reports.
In this arid, desolate landscape, not a scrap of vegetation in sight, lies a makeshift camp for some of Afghanistan's internally displaced. Among its residents, 9-year-old Pawana. Her bright pink dress squeals of laughter and childhood games, a ruse to the horrors unfolding in this unhospitable environment. Pawana's family moved to this camp in Baghdis province 4 years ago after her father lost his job. Humanitarian aid and menial work, earning $3 a day, providing the basic staples to survive. But since the Taliban takeover 2.5 months ago, any money or assistance has dried up. And with 8 mouths to feed, Pawana's father is now doing the unthinkable. I have no work, no money, no food. I have to sell my daughter, he says. I have no
So
other
now,
choice.
Nuria, this guy is selling this girl in pink. She's just 9 years old, and she's so tiny, she's so small, looks very feeble, and he's selling her, and the man he's selling her to is claims to be 55 years old, but
Oh my God.
This is the classic case of Aisha and Muhammad.
Yeah, that's the first
So,
thing that came into my head. The ages are exactly mimicking the age of Aisha and the Prophet.
and you can see that, like, if we have a look at it, we can see the reactions that Aisha might have had when
Yeah.
she was going into such a marriage. And this is totally heartbreaking. Like, since I've seen this video, I've been really disturbed. And
Yeah, you're
uh,
braver than me, Ghalib, because I saw this a couple of days ago. It was actually on British media as well, and I watched the first minute or two, and I was like, I cannot watch this. I just can't. I know how bad the situation is there, but yeah, and like the way she was just playing, and they were focusing on her pink dress. That the first
yeah.
image that came to my head was that is how Aisha would have been before she was married off at the exact same age. But yeah, sorry, you were saying it is entirely heartbreaking. It's horrible
So
to
we are in
watch.
that part of our ages right now. I'm like me and Haris, and you are a bit younger than us. But you know, we we would have children of this age. We would have
Yeah.
children of this age, and we have nieces and nephews of this age, and uh, we cannot imagine like something horrible happening to them. So anyone who is listening and you think that Islam is something good, you have to see it from the humanitarian perspective. This girl is nothing right now. She cannot be the one who is bearing the burden of being wife of someone and providing sexual fulfilling the sexual desires of a 55-year-old man, and that
No.
man claims to be 55 years old. But when you see him, then you tell me if that man is 55 years old or not. So we'll see.
Pawana, who dreams of going to school and becoming a teacher, applies makeup. A favourite pastime for little girls, but Pawana knows she is preparing for what awaits her. My father has sold me because we don't have bread, rice and flour. He has sold me to an old man. The white-bearded man who claims he's 55 years old comes to collect her. He's bought Pawana for 200,000 Afghanis, just over $2,000.
So 200,000 Afghanis, only 2,000 rupees, and this girl is being sold for 2,000 rupees into a lifelong bondage kind of thing. This guy is not even 55 years old. This guy is, I think, somewhere above 60.
Yeah,
So my
definitely.
father is not this old. Like, my father is not this old. This guy is old. And now they're shaking hand over it. This is kind of a business deal. This is not something, this is slavery. This is
Yeah.
slavery. This is slavery.
Yeah.
How can
That
you
is
say that Islam has ended slavery when this kind of things are still happening? How can you say that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's a complete transaction what's happening here. And I mean, it's again so telling of how bad the situation is in Afghanistan, because sitting here, even as her father, looking at her father right now, you do not come to a place where you are so desperate. There is nothing else you can do in your power where you would need to resort to selling your
Hmm.
child to a man of that age for what did they say it was $2,000? That is, I mean, no father, first of all, no father in their right mind, I just want to get that out there, would pay a price for that, put a price on their daughter. Never. This is the most dire, extreme consequence of either he does this or their entire family they're already beneath the poverty line. So it's just how much worse can their life get? But honestly, this makes me sick to my stomach to see. I didn't even put a face to the man, and now it's all just so real. And they said he's come to collect her, as if, like this is some, like you said, this is just some product you've come to pick off, or some order you've placed, some transaction you've done. This is a little girl's life we're talking about here. This girl will never, this is her youth, her childhood being snatched away in a moment's notice. She's so helpless, and she's justifying her father's actions without seeing the side of it where her life is over forever. Who knows how this man's going to treat her? Who knows what's going to happen behind closed doors now? I can't even think about it, because honestly, it makes me sick to my stomach. And you feel so helpless, because what can we do sitting here just looking at that from across the screen? But it's honestly, it's unbearable. It's sickening.
Yeah. So now they're going to shake on it. So this is like too horrible.
Covered up, Pawana whimpers as her mother holds her. This is your bride. Please take care of her, says Pawana's father. Of course I will take care of her, replies the man. His large hands grab her small frame. Pawana tries to pull away. As he carries her only bag of belongings, she again resists, digging her heels into the dirt. But it's futile. The fate of this small, helpless child has been sealed.
So this is how bad it is.
Child marriage is nothing new in poor rural parts of Afghanistan. But human rights activists are reporting an increase in cases because of the economic and humanitarian crisis engulfing the country.
These are devastating decisions that no parent should ever have to make. And it really speaks to what an extraordinary breakdown is happening in Afghanistan right now.
For months, the UN has been warning of a catastrophe as Afghanistan, a war-ravaged, aid-dependent country, descends into a brutal winter. Billions of dollars in central bank assets were frozen after the Taliban swept to power in August. Banks are running out of money, wages haven't been paid for months, while food prices soar. According to the UN, more than half the population doesn't know where their next meal is coming from. And more than 3 million children under the age of 5 face acute malnutrition in the coming months.
People of Afghanistan need a lifeline.
And while $1 billion has been pledged by UN donors to help the Afghan people, less than half those funds have been received as the international community holds off recognizing the Taliban government.
People of Afghanistan will be dying of hunger in the next couple of months, and not just a few. This is just making people more and more vulnerable, and we cannot accept that.
Sentiments shared by the Taliban.
We are asking aid agencies to come back to Afghanistan and help these poor people. Otherwise, the crisis will worsen.
For this family in neighboring Ghor province, they are trying to sell 2 daughters, 9-year-old Litan and 4-year-old Zeton, for $1,000 each.
So now
do you know why they're selling you?
It's 2 girls for $2,000, $1,000 each. $1,000 is just 150,000 rupees in Pakistan, and it cannot get you through 2 months.
And Ghalib, one of them is 4 years old. She's just seen her 3rd birthday pass.
Yeah.
And we know what the next step is. They get married off. They're going to be raped. This is just, that's the next logical step, which I don't even want to think about. But this is what's going to happen. It's a vicious cycle now.
This is what Islam does. All of this is happening because of Islam, because of this religion that is so anti, feminist, anti-woman. It's horrible. Just so this story is just too horrible.
Because we are a poor family and don't have any food to eat, she says. Are you scared? He asks. Yes, I am. Another family in Ghor province borrowed money from their 70-year-old neighbor. Now he's demanding it back, but they have nothing to give except their 10-year-old daughter, Magul. My daughter doesn't want to go and is crying all the time. I am so ashamed, he says. Terrified, she threatens to take her life.
This girl is
if they
thinking
push
about
me to marry the old
committing
man, I will kill myself. I don't want to leave my parents. Days later, she discovers the sale has been finalized. Another Afghan child sold into a life of misery.
So this is how bad things are there in Afghanistan. So Taliban are there now, and what Taliban bring is, Taliban bring this kind of suffering all over, everywhere, undiscriminatory, no discrimination. Every woman suffers the same. So, but these girls, I think, suffer even more. So, how can we imagine like a 4-year-old being sold for $1,000, 6-year-old being sold for $1,000, this girl being sold because they couldn't pay pay the
And we
loan back.
can't imagine it, Ghalib. You like it's honestly we can't imagine it. It's just because it's actually shown to us as a reality that we have to understand. And this is why I'm so happy that I'm not Muslim anymore, and I don't have to try and, even as a feminist or somebody who cares about, children's rights and the rights of women, have to try and justify this in my head and say, oh, this is not part of Islam. It's so interesting that as soon as the Taliban take over and a family gets beneath the poverty line and they can't make ends meet, who is the first person to suffer? Girls. Girls are treated like commodities.
Definitely, girls.
That's what Islam does. As a woman, you're already subpar, you're already a second-class citizen. If times are hard in your family, you will be the first thing to be sold off. And it's only because that girl who was slightly older, the 9-year-old was still kind of more vulnerable. The 4-year-old is extremely vulnerable. This is going to be a sick case of pedophilia. I can't even imagine it. But the 10-year-old has the more mature you get, she's saying, I'd rather kill myself than have this happen to me. Because
So, Nuriyah, I'll just ask you one question here.
Yeah.
So recently Haris had a debate with this guy Hakikaju, and he was praising these minor girls being married to, because he wanted to increase the fertility rate. So can you imagine that someone from the West would ever approve of this thing and even remotely think about it? What kind of
Never.
reaction would a Western person have for this? And how come people who are sitting in the West, who are sitting in America, and still they are promoting child marriages? What kind of what kind of dilemma is there? Why do these people think like that? And how would people from the West see this?
Well, generally people from the West who obviously don't come from a Muslim background would never, they would be as sickened as we are, because they don't even understand the intricacies within Islam that could perhaps be factoring into allowing this to happen. But then I would also like to think, from knowing the people around me who call themselves Muslims, they would see the same exact CNN report and be absolutely sickened and curse the people that do this, and they would be sick to their stomachs. And they because you just don't in the West, once you get acclimatized to just standards of society and morality and you like universal human rights that people have, and how children are protected, how minors are protected. Minors don't even go to jail the way adults do. There's just so many things in place there. You're not even held accountable for your actions up to a certain age, and you're not enforced to do anything. So they would be absolutely disgusted by this. But again, the problem gets halted when it comes to Islam, because they're happy to condemn this. They would be like, yeah, the Taliban are disgusting. What kind of what have they've dragged the country down into such depravity that people are selling their daughters. But they would never ever form the link with Islam, or even if they, if you try to, they would have to definitely say that's not our Islam, or that's not our version of it. But it's clear and it's obvious that the prophet, the actual prophet of Islam, has engaged in the exact same behavior. So that's the reason why even the Taliban, let's say, if they were to kind of say, oh, this is people are becoming so poor that they're now resorting to this, selling their daughters. But that's not wrong in your religion to marry a 9-year-old off to a man in his 50s. That guy definitely wasn't in his 50s, as you rightly said. But this has such Islamic foundations to it, and it's because of an Islamic power coming in. Again, poverty, food prices are on the rise. And I always say that at the hands of Islam, Muslims suffer the most. These are their own Muslim people who are having to engage in this behavior. And the dad himself is saying he's deadly ashamed. They're forced into such a position where that is the only out for their family. And that makes me absolutely sick. And it's infuriating that it's always these minor girls who suffer at the hands of these old, filthy men. It's disgusting.
So the Momi is saying, good to see you, Ghalib. Thank you, Momi, and for sending this super sticker. Amit is also saying, hello all, please like and share the video. And guys, we have Nuriyah's Patreon link as well. So I'm going to paste it here in the chat. And if you guys, you guys should support her. Patreon is the best way to support activists like us, because, YouTube or Twitter, these places can deplatform you very, at a moment's notice when they see that they're getting unpopular with the with the Muslims. So Patreon is the best way to support her. We are always already we have already also put this link in the video's description, so you guys can you know.
Thanks, Ghalib. It's very true.
And yeah, so Nuriyah, but this thing that has happened here is
Yeah.
even unheard of in Pakistan. Like people who come from Punjab or who are, yeah, because yeah. So this is like, this cannot even happen right now in Pakistan. And I think the government that was already there in Afghanistan, if they were around, maybe this thing might have been discouraged, if not stopped altogether. But now, when Taliban are there, and Taliban truly believe that it is not possible to put this kind of people behind bars in such a way, and right now, even the judges who had, there was a judge, female judge, I think last week there was this news where she had given a lot of rapists and people who had uh, who had done offenses against women into jail, and they were rotting behind bars. But as soon as the government left, these people were free, and then they were looking for that woman judge,
Yeah.
and she was on the run, and we don't know, like, is she out of danger, or is she still in Afghanistan? We don't know. But this is how bad things are. So this is how, what Islam does, and this is how it goes.
Yeah, I
And
think I actually covered, I did a little segment on this story as well, because I mean,
Mhm.
they were literally targeting these. I mean, Afghanistan didn't
Mhm.
even have that many female judges to begin with, surprise, surprise. But the ones that they did, obviously, thankfully, were the ones cracking down on crimes against children and against women. So cases of abuse, sexual abuse, domestic violence, pedophilia, rape, all of these kind of things. And these genuinely are crimes that the Taliban does not consider crimes, which is why they freed these convicts, and then the convicts were going after the judges who imprisoned them. And this is, now you've got all of these people out on the loose, probably people that share the exact same mentality as this old man that bought this poor girl for $2,000. And these are the people who are now running and the backbone of society in an already very, very uneducated rural society for the most part. So it's just dwindling into chaos now. And these female judges, I feel like, were one of the last like frontiers of justice and hope and keeping any remnants of, like just legal and the moral framework alive in Afghanistan. And these women are forced into hiding now that they're having to give up their and usually, by the way, as well, Ghalib, these women were the breadwinners of their families. So while these families were actually stable, now these women who are on the run and have gone into hiding, their families are going to be pushed to the brink and pushed below the poverty line. And like I said, it's just a vicious cycle what we're seeing. It's absolutely horrible, the situation in Afghanistan.
So yeah, this is how bad these things are, and we are unable to, this video is also there. So this video was from Saudi Arabia, I guess, where this old man was married to a very young girl, maybe a teenage girl. But this is even much more horrible. So you can see this girl; she is quite young. She's like 21, I think she's in her teens. So you only see this happening in the Islamic world. You don't see it happening anywhere else. So this happens only in the Islamic world. It is not happening in the West. It is not happening in the East. Chinese are not doing it. Japanese are not doing it. The Thais are not doing it. So it's only the Muslims who are doing it. Young girls, young women are being married to very old men. And the example that they follow is clearly of Prophet Muhammad. Prophet Muhammad is the one whose example they are following. So, Arham Tajamul has sent this super chat. Daughter selling isn't a good example of evil. I mean, you got to speak in return and prevent it from happening. Is it built innately wrong? I don't understand what you wanted to ask here, but I think you have, and you want. I think you think that there are worse examples of evil there in the world, but I think it is one of these one or two examples that could be the worst. According to a woman, you are a man, maybe you can find something worse than that, but uh, to feel what how horrible it is, I think you need to be a woman to understand like how horrible it is. Me and you men wouldn't be able to understand it. It's
Yeah.
women who would understand it.
Well, I'm glad you said that, Ghalib, because it genuinely is one of the most disgusting forms of
Yeah.
evil, whichever way you look at it. It built innately wrong? I didn't
Yeah.
understand what the question was, but yeah, it's innately, inherently wrong.
Yeah. So then Maxon has sent a super chat. Sweetheart, even you don't speak. One can see the pain and misery on your face and voice. I am crying after watching this. Small weed of Afghan girls. More power to you and thousands of victim girls. Let's hope they get out of it, and
Yeah.
let's hope situation gets better. But these are the only four cases that we saw. These two daughters that were 4 and 6 years old, this one 9 years old, and that the last girl who was 10 years old. So there would, I think it would be tens of thousands of more girls who are being sold right like that
Mm.
right now.
Yeah, and
So
thank you so much for your comment as well, because it's true. Like, I honestly,
yeah.
I just spoke to Ghalib real quick before we came live, and I knew we were going to touch on this. I actively didn't want to even watch the clip myself, but yeah, if I am lost for words, it's because you can see it on my face. Like, I'm usually never speechless, but this it's disgusting, and I feel like the problem is you're just helpless in a situation like this. We can speak, we can shout from the rooftops, but at the end of the day, I can't go and retrieve that girl and drag her out of that house that I really wish I could. If that was in my power, that's what I'd be doing. But yeah, I really appreciate you understanding the emotion behind it.
So Haris is saying even as a society, we can see this is something we should protect our children from, this kind of evil.
Yeah,
So
no
yeah,
doubt.
Haris, but I think Taliban are taking away that power from people to protect their children from this kind of horrible thing. Mo is asking how long this session would last. Nuriyah, I think we can go for 2 hours. I don't know how much
I'm
time we
happy
have.
to. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that would be good. So, do you think that people would follow the example of the prophet if he even does a very, evil thing? Why do people follow the prophet? What do
Yeah,
you think?
that is a very good and loaded question. So here's what I think. So I realized I had this image in my head from everything I've been taught as a Muslim woman, as a former ex-Muslim woman, that the prophet was perfect. He could do no wrong. Until I realized that was not the case. I read the stories. I understood that he took sex slaves. I understood, for me, one of the biggest things was how the hell did he marry a 9-year-old, and why are people not talking about this? Sorry, marry a 6-year-old, consummate it at 9. Either way you look at it, it's messed up. But for me, I know that the video, for example, that you just played of that wedding in Saudi Arabia, again, I could barely look at that bed scene. It made me want to just vomit. But these are people who actually know exactly what their prophet did. They are more than happy to follow in his footsteps because they want to emulate him. That's the whole point of the sunnah. That's the whole point of being a Muslim man. You emulate the prophet and his actions. So they see no wrong in this. In fact, they might even think that this is sunnah and they're going to get, reward or sawab for it. And they're going to go on to produce more Muslim children. And in the words of Hakikachu himself, because they're so young, as soon as they, start menstruating, they can pop out as many children as this man forces them to. And look, lo and behold, you've added to the Muslim population. And yeah, it's the fastest growing religion in the world. But on the other hand, I think people just pay lip service to the fact that they revere the prophet, because I'll give you an example that the Muslims that I'm surrounded by in the West, in the UK specifically, have honestly, some of them have no idea the prophet married a 9-year-old to this day. And if I say it to them, they literally just want to close both ears and they're like, la 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 la, that doesn't exist. That's fabricated. And while I can show them the Quran where it gives you clear permission to marry prepubescent girls, That's
Yeah.
also not good enough. But they refuse to look at the hadith, which says, that's why I make it a point in my videos when I talk about Islam and feminism. I always slap that hadith like literally on the screen, that he married her at 6 and consummated at 9. This is Sahih Bukhari. This is your own scripture. If it was that bad, how did it end up in your own sources? And then look around the world. Look what happens in Afghanistan and Pakistan. Where do these people get the idea to marry a child? Because honestly, that does not come naturally to a man your age. That does not come naturally to a man double your age. My sister is almost the age of just a bit older than some of these girls. She is married off to somebody who's older than my father. And like, you're absolutely like, your brain actually can't compute it. It genuinely can't. But the ones that do follow it is because that's sunnah for them. And in the countries where you see it happening, it's the ones who know their religion very, very well. And the West and the progressive Muslims and the Western Muslims or the cultural Muslims are disgusted by it because A, they might be in the dark, or they just cannot reconcile the fact that their text actually promotes child marriage. Pedophilia,
Yeah, but
let's just say that.
but what do you think? Like, the main thing here is, like, I think this is very clear that someone of this age who is just a child cannot be married to someone who is an old man, or someone who cannot decide if they want to get married or not. Because I think people, when they are not adults, they shouldn't decide for anything. If you cannot give this girl a driving license, how can you give her a marriage license? So
Yeah.
this is like the worst thing. But for Muslims, it is impossible to see behind the veil that the Prophet has put on their eyes. Because if they think that this thing is bad, then automatically they would think that what Prophet did was bad. And if a prophet did something evil, then he's not a prophet anymore.
Yeah, then that's the problem.
Yeah.
Then your faith comes crumbling down.
Yeah.
That's it. And that's what they don't want to happen. They cannot imagine that, because that's it. What, like, for me as well, I was like, okay, if I find a single imperfection in this religion, it means I need to question the entirety of this religion.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it was finding fault, especially when it came to like the women's place in the Quran. But the way that the Prophet acted with women in his lifetime, it blew, like, literally the rug was pulled from under my feet. I was like, this was a man who I thought his sweat smelled like roses, is what is told to you when you're a little child. And then I'm like, if a man that age tried to ever, let's say, marry my sister of that age, like, I would kick and scream and shout. Like, I would how am I going to respect this man anymore? But once you get to that level and you're saying, I disagree with the Prophet's actions, it's a very, very slippery slope, because your Islam is about to crumble. Your faith is about to crumble. It's all on the line.
Okay, so Arham Tajammul has sent another question. What if Muhammad was here today and that he was able to make you all solidify that he is a prophet, and that God asked him to marry 7 years old? Would you have allowed? Yes or no? Don't move away from the question, please.
No, simple.
Arham Tajammul, I think this is very stupid of you to ask here, because even if God would say that someone is his prophet and that prophet is allowed to marry a 6 years old, then that God is not God. That God is, maybe the devil, or even worse than the devil. So if you ask me, that even if God would have, asked someone to do this, if God would have asked me to do it, I would say, no, God, you are not God. You're Satan. So I don't know what you want to make of these questions. What you want to get out of this? I don't know. Nuriyah, would you like to respond to this?
Well, yeah, like you said, I think it's just a really strange question, because it says, what if Muhammad was here today and he was able to make you all solidify that he is a prophet? How is he, first of all, convincing us that he's a prophet? And on top of that, you're saying God asked him to marry a 7-year-old. Would you have allowed it? Yes or no? No, definitely not. I'm going to stick by exactly what we're saying. This is one of the most abhorrent things that you could do. I don't know which God would see a prophet of Muhammad's age needing to marry a 7-year-old for all of us to understand Islam is the truth, and this is this perfect, timeless, eternal religion with the perfect morality. This is just absolute nonsense. It's a non sequitur to begin with, but yeah, that's definitely
would
not.
I judge God here? Even I would still judge God here, because why?
Yeah.
Why? Because one thing we know there, that if, let's say, because there are some people who do believe in God, there are people, not some people, most of the people believe in God, and these people think, and still these horrible things are happening, and God is letting those things happen. So this means if there is a God, he is not a good God. He is an evil God. He is most probably the Satan that we all abhor and hate. So even Arham, if you believe in some kind of God, your God is evil. That is what I will tell you, because it is still happening. Muhammad is not doing it, but it's still happening, and this proves that your God, if you believe in one, is evil.
Pretty
So
much, yeah. And
yeah,
no divinity as well. I'm sorry,
yeah,
no divinity would think that by doing something to a child where you're taking away her agency and consent and childhood is ever anything divine. Like if
yeah.
you phrase the question differently and the God told him not to marry a 7-year-old, maybe I'd consider listening to him. But no.
Yeah. So but Muhammad did it, so it is okay for these people to do such things. And then all of this boils down once again to what Muhammad thought and what did he believe in. So this proves that if someone does it today and we don't feel very all right with it, and if someone did it in the past and we think that person is the one who is an example for all humankind to do good and be good, so all of that is basically boils down to one thing, that I don't think Muhammad is a very good example of someone moral or someone good or someone being a force of good. So he's not. And today, even these people have to go to such great extents to, defend his thought and his personality. And and maybe these are the reasons why we have laws like blasphemy laws, which devise death penalty for anyone who insults the prophet in Pakistan.
Yeah.
So if the prophet wouldn't have done such things, maybe they wouldn't need a blasphemy law to protect him.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I think blasphemy is even one of these things that is wrong in Islam, and it is something that we know is very one of the most horrible things. But all of these things are connected. Blasphemy is connected to the character of Muhammad. Child marriage is connected to the character of Muhammad. Everything in a way is connected to him, and everything falls on his shoulders. So he brought everything there. And whatever the twisted morality the people of Arabia had at that time, maybe that morality cannot be, the prime example in the 21st century, or even in the 20th century, or in any century, I would say. Maybe the people of Saudi Arabia was as desolate as these people were who sold their daughters at that time.
Yeah.
Because
And
when this video starts, they say that there is not an inch of vegetation on these mountains where this refugee camp was. So
yeah.
So I think poverty is also attached to child marriage. So Arabs were poor, they were selling their daughters, and Afghans are poor, they're selling their daughters. And the catalyst in between is Islam, which is doing it.
And just to follow up real quick on what you were saying about the fact that this is the prophet has done this, and so it's like this is a huge reason for why it does happen. And I just want to say you're giving the layers of like why this is happening. Also, it's backed up by almost like borderline, well, not even borderline, basic threats in the Quran as well, that he who does not obey Muhammad's commands or what we have ordered or ordained for you, are like, the most unsuccessful of believers and stuff. So that just gives people more ammunition to go and actually emulate and follow the example of the prophet. Like every single thing he has done in his life is noted down for a reason, and it's there and it's listed, and then it's backed up by commands in the Quran to obey every single thing that has come down on order of God through the prophet. So it's very much the sunnah of the prophet and his actions in his lifetime, and then the verses in the Quran like cement it together. So it's the perfect form to kind of brainwash you and keep you in this state where you cannot defame the man, like you said, blasphemy laws, and you cannot question. Even the questioning is considered wrong, and you're considered to just stop thinking at a certain point, because all of these matters in here are beyond your human understanding. So just stop right there. that can never be good for a society. And then, like you said, couple that in with poverty and a lack of arable land and agriculture and pastures and people being educated and entrepreneurial. It's a mess. But Islam is very much at the crux of that, for sure.
Okay, so we got another super chat from Arham. How can you even say God? You guys are bringing God and certain about His commands. Wow, my God. When did we say that? Well, thanks again. It was a good discussion. You know, you are certain about God, and I think you kind of believe in Him. I don't, and I don't think so. Nuriyah even does, and you know, if you think that God allows all of this evil, then how can you say God is good? So my problem is that your God is an evil God, even if you believe in Him. But first, you would have to give me proof for the existence of God, and then only I would say that that's another story there. So Siraj is saying, Ghalib Bhai, when Imam Khomeini came to power in Iran, he lowered the marriageable age of the girls to 9 in line with the Sharia injunctions. So this is what has happened, and this has also happened right now. So the Saudi Arabian Ministry of Hajj and Umrah has banned the entry of children under the age of 12 from entering the Grand Mosque of Makkah, Khana Kaaba. According to the guidelines issued by the ministry, the decision has been taken as children under the age of 12 do not meet the criteria to be granted Umrah and prayer permits. So this is like they've stopped them from entering in the mosque, but they would still allow child marriages to happen in Saudi Arabia. So, Nuria, you would want to say anything about this?
No, I honestly, this is shocking to me. So why have they done this? They've said that children
Because they
below
think
12.
that these children are not obliged by Islam. It is not obligatory for them, according to Islam, to perform Hajj and Umrah.
Oh, okay, okay. But they
So
should be praying, shouldn't they, according to Islam, after like
I don't
9
know
or
why
10?
they have put this kind of there, but
Yeah.
I don't remember if, yeah, but there are instances where children were in the Harme Kaaba and they were doing all of the Hajj and Umrah. I don't know
Mhm.
right now, like what's the status, and I would have to look into it, like why they've done so.
Yeah, that's
So,
strange because I mean, I remember I was doing, haven't done Hajj, but I was doing many Umrahs before the age of 12
mhm.
over there. But
So,
yeah,
anything you want to say about Khomeini?
yeah, I mean, I completely agree with what Siraj is saying here because again, I've read this injunction that he gave, and it's not just that he lowered the marriageable age. He went further and said it is better if you start with prepubescent girls from as young as possible, and kind of like pushing that, fondle them to do that, do whatever you have to, like exactly typical of what Muhammad is said to have done with Aisha before he consummated the marriage. Fondling a prepubescent girl, which anybody in their right mind would think is absolutely sick. This man came out in the public and encouraged his society to go ahead and do that. So, I mean, what kind of a dogma or ideology proposes such things in this day and age and thinks that that is okay and the world is going to stand by and let that happen? And it's only in these like completely theocratic states where we see this happening, and it's because the very fundamentals of your religion tells you to do that. Again, it's just copy paste of Muhammad and his actions.
So, Zoheba sent another super chat. He's saying, is condemning child marriage is blasphemy? Are we all blasphemers? I think we are. If we
Pretty
condemn,
much,
yeah.
yeah.
And I think blasphemers should be proud of this, because if they are condemning this, then we should be really proud of ourselves, because at least we are doing something that most of the Muslim world does not have the courage to say right now. I think most of the people think that this thing is evil in their hearts, but I think it takes a lot of courage to call this thing out, especially against the Prophet when he's done all of this evil. So it's kind of tricky, but for a Muslim it's tricky. But for a person who believes in humanism, who does not believe that religions come from God or about the nature of religions, for them it's very easy.
It's very easy. I just wanted to say that as well. Like it's actually so much easier. Like I think, Ghalib, you and I can sleep at night because you know that you're consistent with what you're calling out. And I mean, I don't care about, blaspheming against the Prophet now because I'm way past that stage. I actually feel more sorry for people that I know who have to or still want to call themselves Muslims, but also have to wrap their head around this. I feel more sorry for them because I don't understand how you're able to sleep at night, but you have to turn a switch off somewhere in your mind at some point, because once those neurons collide and you're like, the Prophet did it, this is what's happening, put 2 and 2 together, bingo, there we go. You and I can easily make that link, and we can be on the right side and say child marriage is wrong. Where in any capacity it is wrong. That's just something we will always speak out against. But I actually feel sorry for the people who say, yes, child marriage is sickening. I would never, ever sanction that, but I'm a Muslim, so I think they're in a worse position, to be honest.
So, Nuriyah, do you think that you leaving Islam, one of these reasons was Prophet Muhammad's marriage to Aisha? Would you think that did it contribute somewhere?
Massively. For me, even after I had read the Quran, I was like, okay, but maybe somewhere something could have like been mixed up in the Quran, but the Prophet, he's perfect. He's going to save me. Like, everything he did in his life was perfect. It was only when I looked into his actual personal life and his actions. And like I said, I was really on the verge of like, oh my God, like, is this bad enough? Like, can I actually leave? Because I didn't know that leaving Islam was a concept, I didn't really know. I thought you just live your life in more of a haram way and that's it. Like, but I always thought you would never from your like heart say, I no longer believe in Allah and the Prophet as the final messenger. But even when I tried to ask a simple question to one of my family members about the marriage to Aisha, the reaction told me everything I needed to know. And I was like, okay, there is some serious games being played here where this vital information is being hidden from us. Like, I went to mosque classes for 9 years while I lived in England. I was never once told this element of his life. Never once. I was told that he stopped little baby girls from being buried alive. I was told that he treated the women in his life so fairly and so justly. Even in his final khutbah, in his last sermon, he said, take care of your women. And I know the end of that khutbah is very different, where he says, because they just can't do anything for themselves and they are basically like property of yours. But definitely, it was honestly this man going from almost being like an angel, for lack of a better word in my mind, to realizing the way he a marriage to a child. I as a woman could never. I've been 9-year-old at one. I was actually ironically 9 when I wore hijab, and to think of myself being married off to a 50-year-old man, and then to think that the man we are supposed to love and respect. And I remember when I did ask, why did the Prophet, and the only time I opened my mouth to a family member when I said, why did the Prophet marry Aisha at 6? Like, what was the need for that? What is the need for that, even in terms of like, expressing a religion or giving divine revelation to the world? Why do you need to marry a 6-year-old to prove anything? And the response I got,
I think only a pedophile will be able to bring a reason
yeah
into this discussion,
And the
No one
response
else
I
can.
got was like, if you don't love the Prophet, then you're doomed. And that's when I was just like, you have to be crazy to think that that's okay and know about it and stay in this religion.
Yeah, so this is what Islam does to women. And though it be ISIS, they were making slave girls. They were making a lot of slave girls. Those slave girls throughout the years have been released, and they've brought back the children that were born to them because of these jihadis who were enslaving them for sex. And all of these women are living very, very troubled lives. They are in a lot of difficulty. And there have been some, like this Bangladeshi woman from UK who went into Syria, married a jihadi, and now she's not being let back into the Great Britain. So, what do you think about this kind of conundrum that a woman who is brainwashed by Islam goes to such an extent, ruins her own life? One after another, her children keep dying, and she keeps on requesting to the British government that let me back in, and they are not allowing her to go in. So, do you think that Shamima Begum is kind of deceiving the people, or is she a victim of Islam? And even what do you think? Because I've seen this. I don't think that still she thinks that what she did was wrong. So this is kind of a dichotomy here, and this is a conundrum that when we talk about these kind of things, it is difficult for us to even imagine to support her. Though I think she should be let back into UK. She was just a kid when she went, and I don't think that if these girls who were 10 years old and 11 years old, and if she was 17 years old, could decide for her, but she just ran away and went through this. So what do you think? Where does the fault lie here?
So the Shamima Begum case is quite like an interesting one, obviously, because everybody has a different opinion on the matter, and I thought about it for a long time as well, because obviously, like, I was worried about, okay, if she's not let back into the UK, if they revoke her citizenship, apparently she didn't even have a Bangladeshi one, or Bangladesh weren't willing to give it to her. So I was like, is she just going to be an alien then, because she won't belong to any country, and how is that going to work? But then I spoke to actual like Muslims around me in the UK who genuinely were more than happy with the UK taking away her nationality, because, and a lot of it stems from what you said. So their whole point was that even now, when she's trying to tell the UK government, look, I can be of assistance to you and tell you how people get radicalized online, and what their what kind of tactics these people use to lure people like me overseas to fight for ISIS, which I think the British government already are very aware of tactics. Like, one girl with her story is not going to really make a difference. But I think for a lot of people, like, I did try and be like, okay, where do I stand on this issue? Like, she was just a young girl at the time. She was obviously brainwashed. I know people who went to university with me who are older and also fell for the same brainwashing. So it does work to a certain degree. I always think if you have some void in your life, if you have a bit of an identity crisis, if you're lacking something, it is a very big, like, it gives your life purpose and it gives it meaning. But then the other side of the coin is, we're all teenagers at one point. We'll make a mistake, like, I'll have a cigarette, or I'll get drunk, or I'll kiss a boy, or I'll do something, I'll try a drug, but I'm not going to physically make a decision to get on a plane and join a terrorist organization that I know actively beheads people and brags about it. Like, surely you have that much cognitive awareness by then. But it wasn't only that. I could still maybe even forgive that because of the level of brainwashing, which we know in Islam is extremely high. I'd be willing to forgive that. But then I put myself in her position, and I said, okay, if I was 9 years old and stayed in England and went down that route, because ironically, moving to Saudi Arabia and the UAE made me a lot less religious. But while I was in England, I was very religious, just like her. So I'd wear hijab, I'd go to mosques, all the same stuff. So I just thought, if I was pleading for the UK to take me back, I would be showing way more remorse than she does. It's just not believable. You do not see it in her. I mean, the way that what somebody commented earlier, like, my facial expressions were saying a lot without me even saying anything. In her case, it's not, there's something there. I don't know if being in ISIS, you just start lacking empathy all around, but she did not show the level of remorse needed, I think, to even get the British public behind her. Like, there's a lot of sympathizers out there. There's a lot of people in England that will clap and say, look, you joined a terrorist organization, then you woke up, and welcome back, and now you're like, awake to it, and you can help us, and thank you for not staying with them. That's how sympathetic some of them are. But she just wasn't putting up a good enough case. But yeah, as far as letting her nationality and things like that, I still think at that age, no reasonable teenager of that age would make a decision like that without knowing full well what kind of an organization you're joining and what they are capable of, and to actively be part and parcel of beheadings and sex slavery and child marriages, and to think that's okay. For me, that's just there's no coming back from that.
But I don't know. We should say that Great Britain has also failed in a way, and the West is still failing. They don't realize what kind of danger these extremist Islamic groups who exist in every mosque put these youngsters who were born and raised in the Great Britain or the West. So in a way, the people who come from different countries who are immigrants are kind of a little bit alienated. They are not very much kind of integrated into the society, especially those who come from the Muslim world, because they, for their identification is Islam, and they want to be connected more to the mosque. And the mosque is basically, a heap of firecrackers. This is what it does. It kinds of, fits all of these into your head, and then when they start to explode, you are imagining something that is going to be glorious, but in the end it's ruining you. And do you think that still they have realized what this extremist version, I would say all Islam is extreme in the way, but this more kind of practical version who that wants to do the jihad and everything, do you think that still West understands it, or the understanding is still lacking?
No, I mean, I think I'm a bit out there when I come to my bashing of, not bashing, but my whole rhetoric to it, like, just, I don't think the UK in general is, well, maybe they understand it, but they're not taking action to the level which is necessary, because we see all of these isolated, yes, they're isolated incidents, but they're always linked back to Islam and Islamism, and usually it's a case of, somebody was imprisoned and then they said, or they were on the watch list, for example, but then the UK government, A, hasn't taken them seriously enough, or B, they have said, oh, I'm rehabilitated, I don't hold those extremist views anymore, and they've just been let out on parole or on bail. Or one of these guys said he was going to attend a day course because he was just let out from prison, and on that day course that the UK government said, oh, okay, he says he's like, he's changed his viewpoints now and he doesn't think like that. That was the very same day he was let out, he went to London Bridge and tried to kill people and succeeded. And it's just like, and then again, what we saw recently with Sir David being killed by a British Somali Islamist as well. And I mean, they're coming up with all sorts of excuses. I think Horace and I discussed it as well on the Sunday Scoop, where people are resorting to, online bullying does this, and all of these kind of, like, nobody wants to go the extra mile and confront the problem and say, oh, maybe guys, this is actually an ideological issue. Maybe there is, like, I mean, for anybody like you and I, we can see the recurring theme here is Islam. We can see that's what drives them. That's what propels them. They are then talking to other people who, I call them cowards, because they're so happy to recruit other people and tell them, oh, if you do this, you'll go to Jannat and get 72 virgins. So why don't you blow yourself up first, mate? If that's the answer, then why are you still here? But it works. It works on people. It worked on Shamima Begum. It works on this British Somali guy. And the UK government, I don't know if they are so hung up on their past atrocities, and they just have this collective guilt and all this kind of the left coming into the interplay with their cultural relativism. Nobody wants to be seen as being called Islamophobic. Nobody wants to be seen as a bigot. Nobody wants to be seen as racist, which again is stupid, because the West can't even realize that being Islam isn't a race, first of all. So let's take that one completely off the table. But there's just so much. I mean, again, I think Majid Nawaz had a really good term for that. It's like the bigotry of low expectations, and that's what we're seeing here. I do not think the UK is like rising up to the level. Like, even when I was in university, we had courses where we were studying, is this turning into Londonistan? Is this becoming, we have Sharia courts operating in London now. If I wanted to get married or divorced or try and fight for custody for my child, I don't know if I maybe get concussed one day and I choose a Sharia court over the English court. I actually could do that. Like, you can completely bypass UK law now. I think we should look at countries. I mean, obviously, like, France goes to certain extremes, but they have to, because they're dealing with different levels of threats as well, and they have a different approach. But the UK should definitely learn a lesson or two and kind of just step up. And even when I say this to English people, by the way, they try and like tell me to pipe down, because I think they're afraid of, being labeled all of those things that I mentioned. But I'm here saying I come from that background. I've come out of that ideology. So I can't be racist against my own people, surely. And I definitely don't want to be bigoted. My entire family is Muslim. And like I've always said this, I will fight for them till the end. I'll never want their rights or their right to practice religion to be taken away. But there are things happening and we need to call it out.
Yeah. So do you think that there is some place where a Muslim can stay as a person who does not go to that kind of extremist extent. Do you think there is a method that people can save their children from going to such kind of extent? Or let's say if they leave their children, especially the Muslims living in the West, in the hands of the mullahs who are working at Islamic centers, and can they be like, do these Muslims have the an opportunity to just leave their kids with the mullahs and the in the Islamic centers, and they can think, okay, their children are going to be all right? Or do they have to sleep with one eye open, always looking out that if the mullahs are going to drive their children towards, total madness, that is this extremist Islam that we are seeing a lot of victims of, like this Somali guy who stabbed this British lawmaker, then Shamima Begum, and there have been many other. So, do you think that the people who are living in the UK or in the West, they are worried that the Islamic Center is going to get their children towards terrorism and maybe they would become terrorists? Do you think that on the back of the mind of these parents, is there something like that, or there's nothing at all?
To be honest, I think the mentality of parents who are already sending their children actively to these places are so comfortable with Islam themselves, and they keep Islam as such a big part of life that they're not really looking into what are the negative consequences of them going to this mosque or listening to this imam, or listening to, being surrounded by these people. We don't have the same kind of problems in the UK as like outright as you do in Pakistan with like the madrasas and stuff. So that none of those kind of like, like sexual harassment kind of, because obviously the UK law would crack down on that hard. So they don't have those kind of things. But what I've noticed is, I mean, even for my parents, when I was, let's say, 9 years old going to these classes, they would never think that there would be anything negative that I would take this and kind of fill a void in my life and act out in a certain way. But I guess it really depends on like individual experiences, for example, because if maybe in their own youth, like I know my own parents were, when they were at university, there was a lot of radicalization going on. I think that was the era of like Anjum Chaudhry was kind of really trying to rile up people. And so they had Islamic societies at university, and my father was part of the Islamic society, and they would actually show these young Pakistani British men footage of like fellow Muslims getting killed. And they would like show these young 18-year-old men who are full of testosterone and their minds are still slightly malleable. They've come to university to learn, and they would show them Muslims in Bosnia and all these countries, and they say, look what's happening to your brothers. Doesn't it make you angry? Doesn't it make you want to pick up like arms and fight? And some of them fell for it, and they tried to go and leave their mark and fight in the way of jihad. But because of that experience, when I was off to university, I was actively told, by the way, like, beta, don't join the Islamic Society because it can like lead to, they are very, very full on, and this is what can happen. So I went in with like clear goggles on, and I knew that that's not something I wanted to get involved in. And I always thought like my religion is more personal anyway. I don't want to like by then I had basically got a lot more liberal after Saudi and the UAE. But yeah, I always try and pinpoint it to like when I see my cousins or my uncles sending their children to some of these mosques in England. I'm not going to name them because it will give away too much, but some of these mosques in England are very, very known for being like radical mosques, which it is dangerous if like I see my young cousin who's maybe 13 now and he's going to these classes, but I make sure to tell my uncle, like, by the way, do you know the reputation of this mosque? And like, I always kind of check in with him with my little cousin about how far they're pushing him with his religion and the things that they're telling him, because the tactics they use are very, very strange. They have like these weird point-based systems where the more Quran you memorize, the quicker, the better you recite, the more you know about fighting in the way of jihad and all of this. You get like these brownie points and they'll send you on holidays. Like their tactics are very sneaky to kind of appeal to, what's going to make a young boy want to come home and do extra work to learn Quran, to get on this trip to go abroad? It's only a mosque giving you incentive. But most parents who are like religiously sending their kids there they don't understand how well, what could happen if your child has any other problems, if they're being bullied at school, for example, if, you know, they've got like social anxiety, if they've got other problems, and they turn all their attention to religion, and then they're hearing things like, do you know how great Allah finds it if you fight in the way of jihad? Like, that could easily fill your void in life. That could easily make you feel a million times better. But also your parents may never know, because, you know, I've had cases of people I went to university with was completely normal on the outset with us all, like, you know, hanging out at university, but upstairs in his room, he's emailing absolute radicals in a different county who are preparing to send him to Syria. So you never really know, but the power of the mosques is very much a threat for sure.
Okay, so this guy has asked you a personal question now, I think. Nuriyah, would you have married Muhammad if he existed today and you find him of really good character like Khadija did? Lastly, welcome to YouTube, and I hope you empower women. Thank you. So, you know, this is a creepy question. I know, but, you know,
well, thank you
if
for
you
the
don't want to
welcome.
answer it, that's up to you.
I mean, it's really simple. Like, thank you for the welcome, and thank you for the well wishes. I really hope I can help empower women. That's literally my goal. And the answer to the first bit is a categoric hell no. No way I would marry that man ever, no matter how good his character was. And I'm not sure even sure how good Khadija found his character, to be honest. I would love to ask her that if I could rewind time and time travel. But
no, I think Khadija just wanted someone in her lap, that's all.
yeah,
Nothing
that's what
else,
I think,
know.
exactly.
She was not impressed with his character at all.
Exactly.
Not okay. He was kind of benign, I think. She
Yeah.
took him as a benign. I wouldn't
Yeah,
use the
because
word,
she
but,
called all the
you know.
shots. She was wearing the trousers in that relationship. Excuse the pun, but yeah, that was the case. But yeah, no, I would never have married Muhammad. No way.
Okay. So would you like to give these guys the link now? You think?
Yeah, sure. If you want to, that's fine.
Okay. Okay, guys, be precise about your questions. You know, I think we would have people who would want to talk more, but, you know, the time is not very long. It's limited. So keep your questions brief, and, you know, that we may be able to answer those questions. So, yeah. Okay. So in the meanwhile, how many times have you been to Pakistan?
I'd say probably like 6-7 times.
So do you see there is a difference between the people who are living in UK, the Muslims, and the people who live in Pakistan? Who is more radicalized in a way?
Oh my God, Ghalib, that's a tough question. There's parts of England, I swear to God, when you drive past, you would think, oh my God, is this like, am I driving through Pakistan right now? Like, there are literal parts. Bradford, for example, I swear I was driving through Bradford once, and the radio itself, like I was listening to, like, there's a couple of radio stations like Kiss FM, Capital FM. I was listening to normal, like, good tunes, and it just suddenly like changed. It went to Hajj FM. I look around, you see all of those halal butcher shops, Umrah, Hajj travel. All you see is like shalwar kameez around you. I honestly saw a charpai outside in the front gardens, and all you see is those beards, the namaz topis, and the mosques are kind of just, there's so many mosques. And I think it was you and Horace, that showed that picture of people in London protesting for the TLP. Was it the TLP protest in London? Look at those
there
people.
are TLP goons in London too.
Yeah. And I mean, you could tell me you were literally just picked up and plumped in England, sorry. And you could argue that because they are in the West and they are already feeling like a little bit of an identity crisis, they try that extra bit harder to hold on to religion and identity. And it becomes this like identity battle almost, where you really want to hold on to this and make it everything to differentiate yourself from the Gore, from the Kafir, from these, Western people. Because even my own, like my grandparents, when they emigrated to England, I can tell they're still so conservative. I mean, it's only thankfully because we've now been there for like years and years, and the generations have moved on, that you're having to become more tolerant. When you're living in a pluralistic society, you're eventually forced to tolerate, you know, having pork being sold around you, having pubs, or like, you know, every couple of 100 feet in England, there's pubs everywhere. But the mentality is very much the same. I would literally tell you parts of Manchester, Rochdale, these places are literally, some of them are probably even worse, because even when I go to Pakistan, I go to like the, you know, the cosmopolitan, like Lahore and these areas of defense and stuff, which is still a lot more forward. Like you see girls in jeans, you know, you see like there's music, they're playing Eminem, there's mini golf, you can do whatever. But some of these people here hold the same beliefs when it comes to honor killings, which I hate that word, but they actually hold the same beliefs. That's why you hear of acid attacks, you hear of honor killings in the UK. That all stems from their cultural, religious foundations.
Yeah. And one other question, like, you know, what do you think a Muslim would be more scared of or dislike more? Their daughter getting married to a non-Muslim, or their daughter getting married to a 55-year-old Muslim?
Definitely the non-Muslim, sadly.
Yeah.
That's really messed
I
up to
also
say.
I
God.
also thought the same. Yeah. So
Yeah.
okay, so there are a few people here. So there's this guy by the name of the Perfect Tawa. Let's talk to him. So happy Diwali to all of the Hindu friends who are
Oh,
here
happy
today.
Diwali
So
to
happy
everyone
Diwali to all of you.
celebrating.
Yeah. Okay, hi.
Hello.
Hi. How are you?
Hi. I'm fine, thank you. Just would like to say that as a Muslim, I'm not going to convince you about anything, but I would like to say my opinion mostly about what this Aisha's age you were talking about. Because as a Muslim, I don't believe that Prophet Muhammad split the moon. Okay, and I'm sure that you don't believe either. Okay.
But Fareed said he split it and everyone was sleeping, so no one
Yeah.
saw it.
No, I just would like
You
to
were
know.
maybe sleeping.
No, I wasn't. Just because it goes against Quran. Okay.
Right.
And I would like to know that why the same source says that the same source that says that he split the moon, the same source says that he married Aisha at 6 and then consumed her at 9. Why not believing the other one but believing this one? Because both for me is fabricated. Okay, so I don't understand just why you believe in one but you disbelieve in another one.
Yeah, would you like to answer it or should I?
Yeah, no, you can go ahead if you want, Ghalib. Go for it.
Okay. So my problem is not if that is authentic or not. And
Okay.
I think most of the people don't, it does not even matter if it's authentic or not. If there are girls who are 6 years old and they are being married to people who are, even older than their fathers, and the hadith, though it be true or not, is providing a justification to them that
I
they
understand.
don't feel any kind of remorse, then that's not my problem. That is your problem, because
I
you
understand,
Muslims
yes.
have
Yes.
but let
I'm
me
fighting
complete. Let me
Yes.
complete.
Yes.
Because you Muslims have to convince your own people. It's not me that you are fighting against. It's the people who believe this, and it's the books that believe that. And if we talk about Quran, then Quran also mentions the women who have not gone through their menstruation.
Okay.
And there is a talk about what kind of iddah they are going to go through. So, and in a way, if you say that who is the one who does not have menstruation, then it's the prepubescent girls.
Okay.
And
so you mean that
Quran is talking about it.
Sorry,
but I think
there is no woman who in this world that doesn't have problem with menstruation. There are women who have this problem. So if you read the chapter 3 verse 7, Quran says that there are unspecific verses that the true meaning of them is known only by Allah and those firm in knowledge. So the interpretation of such verses, okay, is for those who have knowledge, the right knowledge, and for Allah. Not everybody can, say that this is for small girls. It could be for women who have never have had this demonstration, okay, because they have a problem. It could be for those, because at that time.
But why would God not say that? Why would God not say for women who are not able to menstruate? Why not? Why not those who have not menstruated as well? Isn't that prepubescent girls?
I say that it could be for that, and it could be as well for people, because at that time people were. It doesn't mean that it was for Prophet Muhammad, but people were doing that. Okay, so Quran should have some revelation for that situation, not that Quran accept that. Okay, so as I said, I'm not going to here to convince you. Okay, but the thing is that not everything in Quran is because Quran accept it or believe in it. Like for example.
Okay, so one thing I would like to go back to that you said that Quran, the meaning of Quran can only be understood by God, not by anyone.
No. I said that Quran chapter 3 verse 7 says that there are precise verses in Quran and unspecific verses in Quran. Unspecific verses of Quran is known, the true meaning of them, interpretation of them is known only by Allah and those firm in knowledge. Okay, and those whose heart is corrupted, they try to interpret it in a way that suit themselves. Okay, which Allah says don't follow it. Okay, when you don't understand
that problem is native to all the religious books. It's okay. When you go to the Jews and you ask them about their books, that what is written there about slavery and what is written there about the woman, then you ask the Christians about that, and they also make the same kind of excuses.
Right.
But Quran, those books don't make a claim that they're very easy to understand, but Quran makes the claim that it is very easy to understand.
But
like this.
if you read
the surah, wait, you would have to let me complete now.
Yes, please.
Because the surah 54 verse 7, it says that we have indeed made Quran easy to understand and remember. So it's there. So none of those other books make this claim. But as you were saying that this verse, the verse of Surah Talaq, that is the verse number 4 of Surah Talaq, it says, as for your woman past the age of menstruation, in the case you do not know, their waiting period is 3 months. So but there is other there. Now this translation is kind of, if I open all the translations, then we would see that it's only, the earlier translation used to be that haven't menstruated, but now they are kind of changing this too. So then the main problem in the end is again that Quran kind of justifies it, that those who do not have menstruation periods, then you can, their iddah could be so and so. So that's, and you understand it differently, but the people who are marrying off their young daughters, I don't know if you watched this stream from the start, who, like today, according to the news, like at least 10,000 Afghan girls are being in the danger of getting married to older men right now. And the Taliban government is not doing anything about it. Why? Because they think that it is justifiable according to Islam. So I would not want you to convince me, but I think you should at least try to convince the Taliban, and maybe you would have, you would have a few words for them.
Yeah, my brother.
Not me and Nuriyah. Maybe think that you are talking to Taliban. What would you do to convince them?
Excuse me, my brother. I have been banned from these streams. Like Yatawa.
But I am saying
I'm trying.
Don't think that it is Nuriyah and me who are listening to you.
I know.
Right now, think that it is the Taliban in Afghanistan who are sitting and they are listening to you. And what would you want to say to them? And do they need to stop these child marriages or not? Convince them what Islam says there.
Okay, as I said that it is what is it? That the verse can be, even if it is about children, it is, that in India, Hindus also marry their daughters very young. Even in USA, the age is, I think, even today in their constitutional law is 12. Okay, it was something that people were practicing. Okay, but it doesn't mean that the Quran, like I can give you an example, that 3,500 years ago, God said to Jews that an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, a life for a life. Okay, it doesn't mean that Allah like or accept that I take your eye, because it's a barbaric, way. All right, but the situation was like this: that if you took my eye, and you were from another tribe, the law was that I would attack your family, kill everyone, with my tribe. People were living in different, villages, and there was no any good, suggestion that put this person, for example, in jail. For example, many people were living in tents.
I think you are going to another tangent here. I thought you would convince the Taliban, but you did not try to do it. So Amit is saying like and share the video, friends. So definitely, guys, if you are watching this, don't forget to hit that like button. But you think that Taliban and maybe the Hindus or in India who are doing this are equal? They will rot in the same hell or not?
They will what?
They will rot in the same hell or not? The Hindus who are marrying off their girls very young and the Taliban who are allowing it. Both of them will rot in the same hell. Both of them will rot in the same hell or not?
Hell, yeah.
Both of them will burn in the same hell or not?
I said that I'm not God to judge people. Okay.
Yeah.
God,
definitely you are not.
Yeah, okay.
Definitely you are not. But one thing we should know is that I am not justifying what Hindus are doing. Yes. I am not justifying what the American Constitution says. Nuriyah is not justifying that. We are talking on the humanitarian basis, and as human beings who have empathy, we are never going to support that thing, though it comes from Afghanistan or comes from India or comes from anywhere else. But maybe India is the only example where even they're not six-year-old girls are being married. Even there in India, no one is selling 6-year-olds or 9-year-olds. But in Afghanistan, in the Islamic Republic of Taliban, people are doing it, and Taliban are failing to protect them against it. And they are doing it according to Islam, and they think even Imam Khomeini allowed these child marriages. Yeah, Imam
Shaitan Khomeini.
But to me, even I don't want to go down that tangent, but what Khomeini did was nothing that he brought himself into this world. It was Islam. It was the Islamic books. It was the Sunnah of the Prophet. And that's all. I think, Nuriyah, would you want to say something in that?
Just let me tell you, my brother. I'm Iranian. Khomeini executed my brother. Okay. And I have been fighting him 42 years. So I know him very well. I know that he was a devil. He was a liar. He didn't believe even in Islam. Okay. He was a corrupted man. His regime, the entire regime, is corrupted. They are stealing the country by billions. Okay, so they are all a bunch of mafia. They don't believe in anything. Okay, so at least them. I don't know about Taliban. Actually, I saw a jihadi who was in London. There was a documentary movie made by Afghan girl. That jihadi was saying that the money I was collecting in London and UK and sending to Afghanistan to Taliban, they were sending them for their children tuition in Malaysia's university. Okay, so I don't know all of them, but at least I know Iranian regime that they are a bunch of terrorists and mafia and bunch of thieves. They abuse the religion. They don't believe at all in anything they say. Okay. Yes, please.
Okay. Nuriyah, would you like to say anything in the end?
I'm really sorry about your brother, first of all. But yeah, I obviously think this conversation is getting a bit derailed. I'm honestly surprised. I think you came on one of the chats when I was with Haris as well. But
Haris, yes.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Honestly, I try and understand your line of reasoning, but I'm surprised because you come on as a very, very quote unquote progressive Muslim. I'm wondering why you are still a Muslim, because your line of reasoning, whichever way you look at it, whether the the Quran is just saying something that happened at that time, well, then Muhammad was just for that time and the Quran was just for that time. Your second line of reasoning, I think, is also flawed, because what you're saying is that those parts of the Quran are very easily either misunderstood or they're so mysterious that we can't understand them. It's only those that are the most learned in faith and God. And then, as Ghalib said, the Quran says a big claim for itself where it says this is a clear guidance for mankind. And then you also don't accept the hadith. And I think when you started this conversation, you said that we contradict each other because we accept that the moon didn't split, but we accept that the Prophet married Aisha. We believe both of those things and we reject them both. Like, we take the hadith for what it is, because at the end of the day, those are the Islamic sources. No matter whether you want to debate the authenticity of it or the chain of narration, the fact is those have ended up in Islamic sources, and your own Islamic scholars are saying this is a strong narration. This is one we consider authentic. So it's easy for us to say, yeah, we don't believe the moon was split, and we think that Muhammad marrying Aisha is enough for anyone to realize that this religion is a dark, very disgusting, dark ideology. But yeah, I don't understand how you're still a Muslim, because I think you're in a really nice little bubble where the Quran can be anything you want it to be, and you can interpret it in any way that you like it to. And any misnomer that's happening, like Ghalib was mentioning, the Taliban carrying out child marriage and making the link with Islam, you can easily step in and say that's men hijacking it and ruining the translation and twisting it. Because as a Muslim, that's what I thought. Even in my personal experience, when they put the Sharia law on me, I thought they were just using the verse of obedience, and men were just corrupting their power, and they were abusing their power of police authority or, judge authority, whatever authority they had. But when you actually, you have to at one point come to your own, like, sit down with yourself and read them and say, what do I believe in? Because you making your own version of Islam, I don't know, you're like your own version of a Muslim, which I think is beautiful, because you're calling out all the things which are inherently horrible, and I admire that. But also I think your argument is a little bit flawed, because you're almost saying everything wrong is just a wrong interpretation, or it's too mystical, mysterious for us to understand. So yeah, I think that's what I'd like to say on it. But I mean,
okay, if you
so far
we
as you
can give you
yeah.
we can give you 30 seconds. You can just
Yeah.
say your last
All right. Okay, so-
conclude it from your side, and we'll move on, because there are other people as well.
I just would like to say that, Ghalib, maybe you said Imam Khomeini, yeah? Perhaps Taliban, ISIS, and so on. You have heard the name a million times, okay? First of all, I have to say, if Islam is, my dear sister, I've forgotten your name, sister.
Yeah,
Nuriyah, my dear sister. If Islam, I've said on my channel, I usually meet a Christian brother from South Africa. I told him many times that if Islam is what ISIS is, first of all, I have fought this Islam 42 years, and I said I lost my brother in this fight, okay? And my brother was fighting. So if Islam is that, I hate it more than you. I'm more against that. If
okay,
Islam,
thank you. I think we will move on.
I didn't reach to say fast. Yeah, you have heard this Taliban a million times, but you have never heard the name of PMOI, the People's Mujahideen Organization of Iran. Despite they are very highly educated and democratic, women are leader there. Women are equal. They pray in front of men. Okay, why the West? Nobody want to talk about these people.
Okay, I think we are getting.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I think the main problem there is that Muslims are still failing to, show any resistance to Taliban. They have failed to show any resistance to Khomeini. They have failed to show true resistance to the Tehreek-e-Labbaik in Pakistan. So altogether, Muslims have always failed against the extremist, groups, and not only in maybe picking up arms against the extremists who are troubling the world, but they've failed extremely to even speak against these people who are doing these horrible things because of Islam. So Nuriyah, I think we should take the next caller.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Rayman Salam is there. Hello.
How you doing?
Hi.
So I don't get why Muslims always try and say it was for that time and that place. When we bring up Muhammad marrying a child, and they say that it's historical. It's like that's like having slavery, saying that slavery was okay at that time and that place, just because it was historical. if you know what I mean. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Can you repeat that, Nuria? Did you get it? I
Yeah,
think there
no,
was
sorry.
a
Can you
problem.
repeat that as well?
There was a problem there
Oh,
on my
okay,
side.
yeah. I was just sorry. I was really just looking at the comment thing was going crazy. So sorry.
Okay, so
Ramon, sorry.
I
Once more, please.
was saying the Muslims always say that, you know, when Muhammad married Aisha, it was for that time and that place only, right? That particular, that's like saying slavery is okay because it was for that time and that place. Okay, that's a flawed argument.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, it flies in the face of, let's say, one of the biggest claims that Islam makes for itself, right? That it's eternal. And people say that the Quran has always existed, like it's just always been there. So you can't have an eternal religion with eternal perfect morality. And then you want to say that that was just what happened at that time and that was the need of the hour.
And don't forget that Muhammad's supposed to be the perfect role model for everyone to follow, every man to follow.
Exactly.
Till the end of time. Till the end of time.
Till the end of time. He is the perfect, he's the perfect concept of a human being. So if he's doing something which we morally cannot wrap our heads around in the 21st century, probably Ghalib, you even said centuries before this as well, like as soon as, I mean, anything post-enlightenment, let's say pre that, okay, we could cut the world a lot of slack. There was slavery, there was a lot going on, but if none of those other people involved in slavery are making themselves out to be the prophet of an eternal religion and the final prophet forever. Like, you cannot attach that divinity to it, and that doesn't hold up then.
Yeah. So that idea of prophethood for Muhammad is also kind of very, it's alien to the idea of prophethood that was present in Christianity and Judaism as well. Because the prophets were kind of desolate people who were just talking to God. They were never kings. They were just kind of people who were maybe the voices that were standing against the kings and those kind of people in the Old Testament and in the New Testament as well. So Muhammad is not a prophet. He's a cult leader. He's a cult leader, and he is that kind of cult leader who is very ruthless. Maybe if Genghis Khan would have created a religion, it would resemble Islam. So any powerful man who has power, who wants influence, power, riches, would create the same kind of religion. And maybe there are religions who are in the world which were like that. Maybe at some point, even the ancient religions were worshipping the kings and the powerful people. And I think Islam is nothing more than the personality cult of Muhammad, and that's all. Yeah.
Nuriyah, I watched some of your interview of when you said that the Quran is Arabic centric. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a Muslim. There was this Muslim on somebody else's channel, 12-hour live stream. I asked him a question.
Bloody hell! Yeah.
I appeared on it, and I asked him whether or not can you show specifically where in the Quran does it say that Islam is only for the Arabs, and he actually showed us one verse. If Islam is only for the Arabs, why do South Asian Muslims like the Pakistanis and Bangladeshis, right, stick to that religion? I mean, I can show you the video, but I don't think you guys have time.
No, we probably don't have time now, but feel free to send it to me on Twitter. I think you've sent me something previously, right, which I still also need to watch, so I'll watch those two together. But yeah, that's really interesting. And
that was the video I sent you.
Oh, sick. Okay, yeah, well then I'll check that out for sure. I'll get onto that, I promise you. I told you that on Sunday Scoop as well, but I'll definitely get onto that and I'll reply ASAP.
So Raymond, do you have anything else to say? Guys, there are a few places in the studio. You guys can come and you can talk to us. I think more than 100 people are watching, but there are hardly any people in the studio. I don't know. Maybe
No,
people are
thanks
busy
for letting
watching.
me on.
Maybe
I hope
people are watching some cricket match today. I don't know
I think they
who
should
is
all be
playing
finished
who.
by now, the cricket. But anyway.
No, I think 20 more minutes. It will finish in 20 more minutes. I don't know.
I hope
okay.
he.
Those one.
I let the others go on, and I hope he becomes
Yeah, yeah.
successful, Nuriyah.
Thank you
Okay,
so
okay. Thank
much. I
you.
really
Thank you.
appreciate that.
Okay,
Bye.
okay. Okay, thank you.
Bye.
So Morani Saab is saying, hello, Miss Khan, hello, Ghalib sir. But Morani Saab is now dropped. He was there.
Oh, hello,
And
Morani Saab. Yeah, I saw he was in the studio. Don't know what happened
yeah,
there.
but now he's not there anymore. So I'll see there are a few questions in the chat as well.
And I'm so sorry, guys. I haven't been like pinning any comments from my channel, and I know there's loads. Russell Cohen, I know you're here. Thank you so much.
You should do that.
I know I really should. And there's been so many comments of support. So thank you so much, guys. And I just want to plug this one comment. Sorry, I kindly request you to invite Fawzia Khan to your next live stream. She's a doctor, lives in the USA, and she's an Afghan atheist. Ahmed, I saw you earlier as well in my premiere, and yeah, thank you so much for all your support there. This is amazing. People, if you have people that I can connect with, I'm specifically looking to reach out to women as well. I'd always give women priority because that's like the angle that my channel is taking or that I want to kind of pursue. So thank you so much. Could you maybe email me? My email's in the description to like all of my videos, holyhumanist@gmail.com. Can you just email me a reminder? Then I will actually follow up on this and I'll get connected to her. I'm going to have Khadija Khan on my channel in about 2 weeks' time. I'm going to have Sultan Salatin on my channel next week as well. We're going to do a deep dive into more like what Ghalib and I were talking about today, but we're going to tag team it as women. So yeah, any recommendations, guys, please keep sending them to me. I really do appreciate it. And all the other comments I missed about being inspiring and all of that, I really appreciate it. Just because I'm not answering them doesn't mean I'm not seeing them. I just get so caught up in the conversation that, yeah, I'm still new to this, so I can't control everything.
I cannot talk and look at the chat at the same time. So Baba Duke is there.
Okay.
Hello. Hi, how are you?
Hello, do you hear me?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, oh, that's great.
Hi, how are you?
I don't know what I entered right now. You're ending the transmission, I guess.
I think we are not ending it right now. Maybe we would be here for maybe 1 more hour.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, let's head on then. So what's the current topic at the moment?
Basically today, in Afghanistan, because of the humanitarian crisis that has resulted in the wake of the Taliban takeover, so many people are selling their daughters now, and for a few $1,000s, like 2,000. One girl was sold for 2,000. Another girl was
Pakistan
sold for.
should be worried, of course, by the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan. Since they have been fighting Taliban up north Pakistan since the war began, like 20 years back or something. They went over, they escaped the Western forces and went over to Pakistan and dwell there. I've seen video footage of this, but well, I understand Pakistan is not the best place either. For instance, me, I'm not a Muslim. I'm a Christian, and I hear stories coming out of Pakistan, like a Christian woman. She drank from a well that was meant for Muslim women or Muslim workers. They were working on a field or something. They were picking tomatoes or whatever. I don't know, but and she.
Now you're talking about Asia Bibi.
Yeah.
Asia Bibi.
You're
talking about Asia Bibi.
They wanted to kill her, but the police was milder than the people, and they said, "No, we can give her life in prison." Yeah, okay. So please.
So you were talking about basically Asia Bibi. Let me give you, Asia Bibi was a Pakistani Christian woman who was, I think, arrested back in 2009 because she was alleged of blasphemy, and she was drinking from the same cup which the Muslim woman used to drink.
The same well, was it? I think the same well.
No, it was the same cup. It was the same cup because I am from Pakistan and I also belong to the Pakistani Christian community, but I'm an atheist.
Thank you for enlightening me with facts.
So Asia Bibi was in jail for almost 10 years, but Last year, she was released by Pakistani Supreme Court, and she's now, I think, living in Canada somewhere.
Yeah, I followed her.
But these cases are coming again and again, because in Pakistan, a lot of the nurses are from the Christian community. So at least in this year till now, there have been blasphemy allegations on 3 Christian nurses that I know of. But there are more cases. There are cases of rape that I keep on hearing every day against the Hindu and the Christian girls. There are forced conversions as well. So, Pakistan is not a very safe place for minorities of any kind, though it be atheists, though it be Christian, Hindus, Sikhs. Everyone is in danger in Pakistan because of the blasphemy laws and, the rampant increase in Islamic extremism there.
I would claim it's not safe for any person, actually, when you're under control of such a sect. Like, if you see, Islam is like a sect. And when they push their parameters, you may not speak outside this border. If you do, you will be punished. You're an outcast. So you have to follow a simple and quite stupid, to me, it's quite stupid, a code of rule. And if you think back, for instance, to the time of the Prophet Muhammad, when he lived, he existed actually, and he had put, for instance, his handprint on the patent of Muhammad. There was he was illiterate, so he signed with his hand. So he did exist. That's a fact, historical fact. But the problem is, why would the reason be to, for instance, if you say like that, your maker, your God. If I, for instance, was a sculptor once, as I haven't even written the comments before, and I make a sculpture, I can take a hammer and break this sculpture. I can break it. It's not a problem. I can throw it away. I can trash it. But why does your maker need you to unmake infidels? That's the big question, I think. Is he a powerless God? Is he powerless?
Yeah, kind of he is. Because, always when, if God wants to kill me right now for being an atheist, he can do it right now.
I can uncreate any creation I do.
Yeah.
Why can't
So
he
God can deal with the infidels. God can do anything, but he does not. Either he does not exist, or either I don't know.
It's phenomenal. It's
a
phenomenal.
Nuriyah, would you like to say something about Salman Taseer?
Sorry, you want to say something?
Yeah, sorry. If you want to say something, otherwise I will pass on and let you have the next guest. But I had my point, and thank you, Miss.
Thank you.
Nice that you keep your hair showing.
Okay, bye.
Thank you. The hijab is no longer an option.
Okay. So, someone talked about Salman Taseer in the chat, and quite a few people were talking about Salman Taseer. So Salman Taseer is also one of the reasons why I started activism, and one of those points where I felt like I had to do something. So he is always a hero of mine. He and Shahbaz Bhatti, both of them are my heroes, and Salman Taseer more so. Why? Because he stood up for the people who no one was willing to stand for. But and he gave his life because he talked to save Asia Bibi from the Islamic extremism and bigotry that exists in Pakistan. And I think a new time started with the death of Salman Taseer, because anyone who wanted to speak for the poorest of the poor and the weakest of weak in Pakistan, I think after Salman Taseer's death, most of the people just went silent. They did not say anything about that. So, Nuriyah, you want to say anything?
Yeah, no, I mean, I can completely understand where you're coming from, because I'm on the exact same page. And even just like having like a legal background and understanding what happens and the way minorities are treated in Pakistan. And I know for a fact that these lawyers are fighting against, they're taking on the world in Pakistan when they agree to represent cases like this, where honestly, most of the time these cases have absolutely no merit. Excuse my French, but they're complete bullshit. Like drinking from the same cup of water or being sent a text message that you can't even write yourself because you're so illiterate you wouldn't have been able to write that. If you've got a personal vendetta against somebody, they're not Muslim, easiest thing is to lap them with a charge of blasphemy. And these poor lawyers who go out there and put their neck on the lines to stand up against what is essentially the remnants of Zia's time in Pakistan and these these hardcore hudud punishments, you are going up against the majority of a country where the ulema and the establishment have so much backbone that you're literally you're putting your family at risk, you're putting yourself at risk. And Salman Taseer is one of those situations where it goes horribly wrong. And now I really keep an eye out. I think there was a recent blasphemy case as well, and I think Saif al-Malook was, what's his name? Somebody.
Yeah, Saif al-Malook was Asia Bibi's lawyer.
Yeah.
Junaid Hafiz's lawyer was Rashid Rahman, who was killed back in 2014 because of representing him in the court. He was receiving a lot of threats, but later on in the Multan, law in his Multan law chambers, he was just shot dead, and he's a true hero, Rashid Rahman.
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
one of those people. Yeah. And there are a lot of people who are still representing the victims of blasphemy in courts, and their lives are really in danger.
And these are the unsung heroes of our society. These are the unsung heroes of Pakistan. It's not easy. You're literally going up against everything. The whole country. I'm not even being. This is not like an over exaggeration. The whole country is effectively against you. And you're just trying to stand up, just trying to use the law to help this person. And yeah, sometimes it ends horribly, but then, out of tragedy comes beautiful things. Like you started speaking up, Ghalib, and now we have you as a force to be reckoned with. So here you are. You will always speak for him, and his memory
you're
will
also
live
a
on.
force to be reckoned with. And guys, let me tell you, I'm going to have Nuriyah on my Urdu channel next week, so you have to keep a watch out for that. Nuriyah has also started her Urdu channel. Nuriyah, can you give us the link here that people can go and subscribe to it as well?
Yeah, sure. So, I'll literally pin it after this chat if that's cool with everyone. Yeah.
Okay, so my uncle actually is a lawyer in Pakistan, and all his farm animals were gunned down because he supposedly had to defend a blasphemy case. My God, how bad is that?
Yeah.
So poor animals also had to die in the name of blasphemy.
Honestly.
So Ghar Ka Bhedi is there. Okay. Hello.
Hi Ghalib. Hi Nuriyah. How are you?
I'm good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good. So Nuriyah, I had a question for you. So, how do you see, the Pakistanis or all those radical Muslims, Bengalis or Indian Muslims, the way they raise their kids in the West, like in UK or in Canada or America and all those kind of countries? Because I have seen both extremes. I have seen their second generation. Some of them were way modern. They were they don't care about religion or anything. And I have seen some who actually went to Pakistan and married to the girls who actually wear hijab and all, and then never show their face and things like that. So how do you see in UK and how is what do you think what's the future? Do you see any hope over there?
Look, to be honest, that's a really good question. To be honest, I think that there is no point in you migrating to the West and then trying to live in the same isolated community around the exact same people that you would be living in your community back home, because you see in the UK there's pockets of places where the people you live with are literally just copy paste versions of yourself, and they have the exact same mentality. And you genuinely, when you are constantly confronted with the same people with the same beliefs, it only reinforces your own beliefs, and then it really does become a us and them. So it's they do genuinely become the other, and you're always, as humanity, as a species, we're always, when we have your own little tribe, you're always fearful of the other. That's just naturally what happens. So I think the more that they allow, for example, if you moved from Pakistan or Bangladesh and whatever, and then you're allowing your daughter, not allowing because it's a law there, they have to go to school, but they're going to school, but then you're stopping them from taking part in so many activities and so many classes because you think it doesn't fit in with your religious structure or your whatever your morals are, then you are kind of just instilling the exact same morals in your child. You're not giving them the chance to explore and live in this pluralistic society, which is only beneficial to everybody. But a lot of these parents try and hold on to their values so strongly that they discourage you to make friends. Like, I know Muslim community, like Muslim progressive, no, they're not progressive, but they like to put themselves as progressive. They've been in England for 2 or 3 generations, but the father will not allow his daughters to make any friends that aren't Muslim. And to me, that's wild. Like, you're basically, and again, it stems from the Quran, right, where it says, do not take the Jews and Christians as your friends. But this father has taken this to the next level entirely, where he took his daughter out of a mainstream stream. She was in one of the best private schools in the UK, which is so hard to get into, and he took her out just because it was mixed, or he didn't want her to get corrupted with Western values. And now she's sitting at home being homeschooled, trying to educate herself to pass the same exams and get into university, which, by the way, he's only allowing her to go on the condition that the day she gets her degree, the day she'll agree to get married. So you're carrying on the exact same beliefs. What's the point of you living in the West? Why do you want to indulge in this lifestyle where you hold on to beliefs that are still so traditional and old school? That when you mix with other people, that's when you realize there is more to life than your own beliefs and the only things that you were taught. And for me, that's what woke me up. My eyes opened when I met people from Lebanon, people from, I met Shia Muslims. I didn't even know there were all these different factions. I met Lebanese people who were Druze, and they were their own community. And I was like, wow, what is this? Then I went to Lebanon. I saw how they live. Like, all of these things open up your eyes. But if my parents had said, you cannot travel until the day you get married, which is also kind of implied, like, as a woman, you have to fight these things on so many levels. But I only see progression, sorry to go on a rant, but to answer your question, I only see progression when you let go of the same traditional skewed values that you would have held in Bangladesh or Pakistan or Afghanistan or India, wherever you come from. If you're coming to the West, then embrace it. Don't have the fear of the other or the fear of the unknown. Let your child breathe. Let them integrate into society. Let them take part in extracurricular activities and make friends with Christians, Jews, Jehovah's, with anybody, because that will only teach your child to question and inquire and think critically, which is thankfully what the education system there promotes anyway. But yeah, it's just when you stop fearing the other and fearing that your child's going to be corrupted by the bad values of the West, when you realize, you know what, they're not so bad. If my child, if I raise them right and they have a good head on their shoulders, they will be just fine. But you have to trust that. And as I think it's Khalil Gibran says, your children are not, they're not an extension of you. They're not your property. Let them breathe. Let them live. You don't own them per se. And I think a lot of Desi parents need to understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, like I have seen like the same thing like in my family, like my siblings, they're the same way. They don't let their kids go, like they don't let them celebrate like Halloween or anything like that. It's like all those kids, you can see they are like so confused. So every time I have seen when they go to a mixed gathering or they go like a wedding or somewhere where there's a lot of white kids playing around. I've seen my kids like they play around with everybody, but like my family or like the friends or even my coworkers, like they don't never let their kids like go and talk, like like if they are like, I don't know why they are insecure. They think like if they were gonna let their kids go and spend some time with like the like the kids from other cultures, they were gonna probably influence or something. But like having said that, I recently like seen like two Irani families really closely. They were staying like somewhere like where I was like meeting them like almost every day, and surprisingly they were like very open minded. Like their wives were wearing like Western clothes. They were like their kids were like like all into games and everything, and like they were like way more confident than I would say like the most of the Pakistani like community. So like sometimes when you guys talk about Iran, like yeah, they are like way more progressive than us.
Yeah, because they kind of alienate themselves. This is the main problem that they do. They alienate themselves. They want to live in these cocoons. These they've made ghettos of their own, and they don't want to get out of those. And they are always trying to drag other people with into those corners as well, where they are themselves. So I think when they want to have a separate identity, or want to be a separate, want to be separate from the people of the country who has invited them in, so in the end their children have to suffer. And because I think this insecurity. And I asked a question to Nuriyah here, and she said that, I asked her that, is a Muslim more scared that his daughter would get married to a 50-year-old man, or is he more scared if his daughter would get married to an infidel or a non-Muslim? So I think this is one of those things, this tribal mentality, where they don't want their daughters to be married to someone else, and all of that comes from Islam. I think all these societal taboos, racism, these linguistic barriers, all of them dissolve only when there are marriages between people from different religions and from different ethnicities, different languages, different races. Then and only then, you can bring down the level of bigotry and level of all this alienization in any country, in any community, in any neighborhood. So I think this is now Nuriyah is back. So Nuriyah, yeah, hello, your voice is not coming.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you, and it's really sad to hear that your was it your siblings? Sorry, maybe you said my internet went a bit funny, but
yeah, oh yeah, like I I've been in Canada for like almost like 12, 13 years, and I know like so many people, and I have a really big family here. They have like their second, third generations like growing up here in Canada. So they but some of them, like some of my second cousins, they are like so progressive. They go to the bar and all, and
okay.
some I like, they are like, oh man, they are another extreme. So yeah, that was I was talking about. And even my siblings too, their kids are like younger, but they don't let them, like they don't let them go. And but like my son, like he has like like Christian friends. He has friends from Turkey. He has friends from like India. He has like friends from all different kind of people, which is like like a Canadian culture, you can say. Like there is like 30% of Asians, and all the different kind of ethnicities. And then he is probably has friends with almost every ethnicity. And and when I see him, and I see my siblings kids, there's a big difference. Like they, like if like the age gap is not so big, they're probably just 1 year apart, or all of my siblings kids. But like you can see the confidence, you can see the way they talk to others, you can see like how my kids like go and be a part of the group, or like like, and you can, and my kids, my siblings kids, they just got scared. Or even my coworkers, like I have seen them the same way. The one who let their daughters wear hijab and take their kids to the madrasas like every day. Even here, like they take extra hour break from work, and then when you ask them what are you doing, and they're like, well, I'm taking my kids to the madrasa. Oh well, man, like come on.
Yeah, no, that's really sad, obviously. Like, and you just think, like, what's the point of giving them all of this exposure
Exactly.
and living in the West, and having the entire
then go back to
world.
Pakistan.
Exactly. Well, you've got all this opportunity. Literally, you are in a world where those children can grow up to become absolutely anything they want. They're not hindered in the ways they would be back home, but you're now putting those in like hindrance on them because of your thinking and the way that you're cutting them off almost from the outside world. And that's really, really sad to see. I don't think
Okay.
Yeah, let's wrap this up.
I think we'll move on. Thank you. It is always good to have you.
Yeah. Thank you, Ghalib. Thank you. Yeah, it's nice talking to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
See you then.
Yeah, take care.
Bye. Nice. Okay, Dag is there. Dag is there. Sorry, Rakshat, I'll take you next. Dag is there first. Hello.
Hello, good
Hi.
evening, Ghalib.
Good evening. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Good to see you on some weekday.
Yeah,
Sun-
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
good evening, Nuriyah. It is
Hi, good
always good
Yeah.
to
evening.
see, always
Mm.
good to see more women coming into this stream. It is mainly
Yeah.
male-dominated streams.
We need
So
some more women in here for
need
sure.
more.
Oh,
So
but I think
my
we've got some women now. So
some
Ahmadadi is
women.
there, Sultan Salatin is there. Not some, but I think Mahliz is there. So I think you guys
Yeah.
can have a gang up of your own, and one day
we
all of you should do a stream together. So and we would just stay out of it. Nuria, we
I
would just stay out of it. So maybe then Dog
Listen,
would not
let's
have
let's
this.
not let's not go about this the Islamic way, okay? We can all mix up. It's fine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay,
So
so.
my whenever I talk about ex-Muslims,
Mhm,
in this type of religion, the problem is which happens is with the minorities in those religion,
mhm,
especially
mhm.
the gays, lesbians, or the women. Even within the women who are not religious, who are rebellious, who don't want to follow, because the whole concept of religion is the woman's body and woman's way of behavior is the thing which holds the religion together. She is the honor of the religion, and it puts so much pressure on the women. So, what I just wanted to ask you, because I was also thinking about democracy. I am from India, so here we are also thinking how to, give Muslim women more rights. So one of the things which we frequently debate is the banning of hijab in France. Now many people in India also say that India should also follow similar type of pattern and ban hijab. I think that banning is not the solution, because it should be that the women should not be forced to wear what she wants not to wear and what she wants to wear. If she wants to wear hijab, she is free to wear hijab. And as a matter of practicality, we have seen in India more women are leaving traditional dresses and wearing practical dresses, means shirt, pant, salwar kameez, which are more practical than sari and hijab and all those type of dress. So, what do you think that is it right to force, ban hijab in France? Because we think it is another extreme of secularism, like banning all the religious signs in public spaces. Now in India, there are a lot of Sikhs are there who wear a turban. Sardars, they wear turban, and normally people don't mind seeing the religious things. But the thing is, we also understand that there are women, especially in minority, means in the Muslim community, who are forced to wear hijab, not because they want to wear hijab, but they are also forced because in a very warm, hot place like Delhi or North India, you cannot wear a black dress over you. It's very uncomfortable.
Yeah, yeah.
So, what do you think? Is it right to ban it, or should women be given the chance that okay, it is up to you to decide? And if some women
Nuria.
says that somebody is, my husband is forcing me to wear it, then the law can take its course.
Yeah. So do you want me to answer that, Ghalib, or do you want to speak
Yeah, yeah,
first?
sure. You.
Okay, yeah. So sorry, what was your final question? Do we think it should be
So my
banned?
question is it
Do you
right
think hijab
to
should be banned or not?
Oh, okay. Look, obviously, I've said this before and a number of times as well. I do not stand for what the symbol of the hijab represents on a personal level. I think it's very, very oppressive. I don't see it as a beacon or symbol of empowerment at all. But at the same time, I don't think you can. And also, I think you said that France banned it, but I don't think they banned the hijab. They've banned the full
And
niqab.
the niqab, yeah, niqab.
Yeah. So they've banned the niqab. And again, I mean, I don't think banning is the outright solution, even though I do differ from a lot of people on this. I don't think banning is the answer. I don't stand for what the reason, like all the Western feminists and what they'll tell you about how the hijab is their choice and it's an empowerment, all that crap. I don't buy it. So But I also don't think, again, banning something is taking away a woman's agency and her consent and her right, to be honest. So then you're policing women's body in another way. But what I would say to those women that are wearing it is that's where my battle is to ask those women, do you really know the true reasons behind why you are wearing this? Why you are becoming invisible? You're making yourself invisible to society. But do you know why this came about? And then obviously when you go back to the reasons in Islam, it is all to do with the male gaze and to separate believing women from non-believing women, which as a woman, even when I was a believing woman, I was like, why should I be able to cover up and a slave woman is fair game? Like, this is literally the roots of the hijab. Slave women who tried to veil were condemned in Islam.
Right.
How dare you cover up? And the reasons when it did come about was because I think it was Sauda, one of the prophets of the wives of the prophet, was going to answer the call of nature at night, and Umar recognized her, and he kept bugging the prophet about, telling women to cover up. And then eventually the prophet got his trance revelation and said, oh, okay, fine, women should cover up. So that none of that stems from a place where what Western feminists claim it stems from, but that's a separate battle. And I think Western governments coming outright, or the Indian government finally just saying, ban this, is just going to look like a bad taste on their part for Muslim women. But on the other hand, they've done some really great things. Like, for example, I think the banning of the triple talaq was a beautiful move by the government. That is something I definitely stood by, because that, again, was just being used to really, really victimize women. But when it comes to banning niqab or hijab, I don't think that's the solution. I think the solution is more aware, even though I have to say I completely agree with Macron when he says that is not a symbol of religion, it is a symbol of enslavement. I agree, but that's only because I can acknowledge the roots of it. So that's my only thing, is I would push the education of why are you wearing this? Do you know the reasons behind it? But banning it outright is just going to cause women to think that they're being policed in another way, and that never ends well.
Yeah,
right.
And I think, I'd like to add something here.
Actually, the way in West, the way Islam is treated, either it is treated with kid gloves, or it is being treated in very, like in France, there is a French model, or it is treated in a very, child, means as if it is a pampered child. But in South Asia, the problem is different. We have a legacy of people staying here, and overnight also we cannot stop something. There has to be a lot of education which has to happen. Otherwise, things will not change. Yeah, Ghalib, you were saying something.
I was
just
saying
to have another.
Dag, I think we will move on. There are 4 or 5 people there. And
sure.
I promised Nuriyah that we would end it in 2 hours, so I'm taking the liberty of 30 more minutes here.
That's okay, Ghalib, you're allowed.
Definitely, next time, definitely you can come. And this is not the last stream that I'm doing with Nuriyah. Next week, we are doing an Urdu stream as well. So you also keep a watch about that. And Dag, you're always, you always are very kind, and, you always talk in such a good way. So definitely we'll have you next time. Okay.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye, Nuriyah.
So my opinion is that no one should be forced to wear anything against their will. So hijab is something, I think hijab and niqab are, as you rightly said, that they hide a woman's suffering. And even if a woman is suffering and she's wearing a hijab, if she's weeping underneath, is wearing a niqab and she's weeping underneath, no one will know. So you're hiding the woman, and you are snatching away her personality from her. You are snatching away her freedom from her. Because have you seen these women when they eat, when they're doing this niqab? Like it's the worst thing in the world. How can you restrict someone from eating with ease? The first basic necessity of a human being is eating with
Ghalib,
ease.
like showing a smile or laughing,
showing a smile,
basic communication. Of a human face is so expressive. And
okay, so Morani Saab is there. He was dropped earlier. So Morani Saab, hi, how are you? Morani Saab, your voice is muted. You have to unmute yourself.
Hey, how are you guys?
I'm good.
Hey,
I'm
can
Good,
you hear
good.
thank
me?
you. How are you?
Yeah.
Miss Nuriyah, I came for you, not for Ghalib. How about that?
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, warm welcome. I think this is your first stream with Mr. Ghalib, yeah?
Yeah, correct. It is.
Okay. That's what grabbed me, man. That's what grabbed me, and I came to say hi to you. And I'm sure you noticed that I've seen you on your personal stream with the Hadith Sultan.
Uh-huh.
Yes. So mainly came to say hello to you. And I mean, I wasn't going to come today. I mean, I saw you, and that's why I came, because I'm mainly focusing on his Mr. Ghalib's Science Kahani channel.
Nice.
So I'm going to start on that one. So you're going to see me more or less of his joining his stream, because I'm going to more focus on that stream. I mean, not the stream, but the videos. But so what's going on? What's up?
Yeah, no, not much. There's a lot going on around the world, obviously, as Ghalib and I have been kind of trying to highlight. But I have seen you kind of across all the streams. So I just want to say, like, thank you for stopping by today, and also thank you for your continued support. It's really appreciated, and I'm really glad that you found Ghalib's Science channel, because I think he's doing great things there.
Yeah, the third video is coming tomorrow, guys. The third video is coming tomorrow, and the fourth would be on Sunday.
I was basically waiting for his videos to load up, like 4 or 5 videos, so I can continuously watch those videos and then come back and ask questions. So I'm not.
I thought that after 10 videos, I'll start the live streaming on that channel as well.
Cool.
So it is going to be a topic-based live streams, and mostly the live streams are going to be about evolution. So you guys are going to really enjoy that there.
Cool.
I'm going to answer all the tough questions about evolution.
Yeah. Every time I listen to Miss Nuriyah, I mean, she reminds me of that movie. I don't know if she recalls that movie. I don't know how she is, but there was 2 girls, one from England and one from US.
Wait, is it The Parent Trap?
Oh yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I haven't seen that, so I wouldn't be able to.
Man, those girls are so cool. I love them, man. I really do.
It's actually Lindsay Lohan playing both characters, but the accent, I can quote so much from that film. I absolutely love it. And,
exactly. I mean, that lady was so cool, and the gentleman, I mean, I don't remember the names for it, but I mean, I watched that movie so many times with my daughter, and I mean, it sounds so good, and I mean, I can't stop watching that movie. And I just could not remember the name of it. Now you remind me, the Parent Trap,
Parent
right?
Trap, yeah.
Yes.
Don't ever. This is going completely off topic, but don't ever watch the original. It's so bad compared to that one.
What do you mean? What do you mean original?
So that was actually based off like another movie, which was years before that, but it was so bad compared. Like it ruins how good this one is. So just stick to this one because it's brilliant.
Okay. All right, guys.
Okay, Murani Sahab. Okay. Thank you, Murani Sahab. Always good to have you. Yeah, there are a few other people that you talk to. Okay, see you then. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Okay, so there is someone by the name of Dhoni. He was waiting, before everyone else, but he got dropped in between. Hello. Hi. How are you?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi, Ghalib. Hi, Nuriyah.
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah,
I always see you on Hindi streams.
Yeah.
I can.
I think there's a delay, I think.
Yeah, I always see you on Hindi streams, Hindi Urdu streams. What is the point of this English stream? I just came across this stream for the first time.
No, I have an English channel as well. That is almost at 4,500 subscribers. I don't pay that much attention to it. But today, Nuriyah and I wanted to do a stream together. So I thought, we would... Because last week I missed the English stream, so I think this week we are doing this one with Nuriyah here. And next week, Nuriyah is also going to be on the Urdu stream as well. So hopefully you are going to...
Okay, will you be regular here as well?
My English stream is regular. Every Sunday I do an English stream.
Oh, okay. I didn't... Okay. Yeah, I am kind of a centrist philosopher in India. Means I follow a centrist philosophy. I kind of, matlab, some of the points of Hindutva ideology, I kind of agree with it. But on the same time, they have gone so much extreme that I cannot follow them. And the left side of India is totally biased towards Islamism, towards pandering towards Islamists. So it is kind of difficult for us to kind of express our views here, and it's so much polarity has emerged in India. So it's kind of difficult for us. It should be there should be a place where both sides can come together and have a consensus in India, I feel. What do you think about it?
Are you asking me?
Yeah. Anyone can.
Yeah. So I think basically the left and right politics is always there. And mostly it is not the fringe left or the fringe right that matters. It is the people who are in the center that matter. And if the people in the center would lead towards the right, then it would create problems. And if more people come towards the left, then I think it does not create that many problems, but in some ways it again does. And the Indian politics, as far as I wouldn't say that I'm an expert on it, but I think that the Indian politics, the far right is taking a ride right now, and the politics is mainly based against Islam. It is based against Pakistan, and I would say that Pakistan has provided a lot of opportunities for the right to use anti-Pakistan sentiment in India, but still, I think somewhere I would say the Indian politicians are losing the real goals that should be the real human development goals are going somewhere else, and they are not following those. So for me, it's a mixed kind of feeling, I would say. I think the next few years are going to be very crucial. The next election is going to be very crucial, and we don't know from there it's going where. I don't know. So Nuriyah, you want to say anything about that?
No, I think actually, Ghalib, I kind of very much am in agreement with you. I think you summed it up well.
Yeah. So you want to say anything else?
I kind of agree with you. Yeah, I kind of agree with you. But I judge the government's performance by its policies, and I feel the policies are yet to be communalized. Policies this government makes are kind of secular, but the election propaganda, the politics around it, has kind of gone communal. And some of the points I agree with, because there has been a pandering of Islamists, but it has gone to an extreme level that I kind of feel what should I say? I feel angered because of it, because the main points are getting diluted.
Dhwani, thank you for coming. We'll move on. Okay, see you around. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, good.
Okay, see you. Okay, Michael Zenobia, I haven't talked to this person before.
Okay.
First
Shall we just address the comment? Yeah. I was going to say the same thing.
So you want to read it? Yeah.
Okay, so Stop Scamming Man, thank you so much. 10% of prisoners are female in America and less elsewhere, yet they are also the majority of the damned. What on earth? As always, thank you for your support. And I think what you're referring to is obviously that, they are damned to hell in Islam, even though they account for such a small amount of the prisoners in America and globally. Which again, it speaks to what Muhammad thought of women. This is like the starting point, right? Obviously, the women are the majority in hell. He says a nation can never be successful if it has a woman ruler. Like, the misogyny is just absolutely clear cut when it comes to Muhammad and the way Islam positions women. And I always say this to women, like, I think it should be, theoretically speaking, obviously practically there's a lot more reasons, and women need Islam or not Islam, but religion in general for a number of reasons, that it provides a level of comfort for them. People do need a god or something to when they feel like their life is falling to shambles, or there's certain times in their life where they can't imagine not relying on something, a power bigger than them. But I always come back to saying the easiest thing for a woman to do in Islam is just see her own worth in it, because that's enough to turn you away. Like, obviously, you know, for men, it's pretty cushy as a religion. Like, there's a lot going for you. You have a lot more than we're given. We're not given anything. In this life, we're made invisible. We're told to cover up. And I always say this in the next life as well. Well, what is there for you? For the majority of us dwell in hell. Your husband gets 72 virgins. I mean, what kind of a shit show is that? What kind of a heaven is that? Like, there is in this life you suffer, in the next life you suffer. Realistically, if Islam was offered to you on a platter amongst the other religions, it really has nothing to offer a woman. And yeah, so I mean, I could go on about this forever, and I do on my channel, so I'm not going to waste more of Ghalib's time. But yeah, stop scamming, man. You're completely right. What on earth? What on earth is the exact same thing I thought when I read it. Thank you again.
By the way, that was a brilliant reply. It wasn't a waste of time, you know.
Oh, thank
so
you.
Michael Zenobia is there. Hello. Hello, can you unmute yourself? Hello. Hello, Mikhail. Hello, Mikhail or Michael.
Mikhail, you are muted.
Yeah, and I cannot unmute. Yeah. So Gulzar is
maybe
there.
I can.
We'll take Gulzar next.
Okay.
We'll take Carbon Curly first. Hello.
Okay.
Yeah. Hello. Hi.
Hi, Ghalib. Hi.
Hi. How are you?
How are you? I'm fine. Yeah. And hello to the lady sitting with you.
Yeah.
Hi.
Okay. Hi. How are you?
Thank
I
you.
heard Ghalib, you're the Afghan video. Your last streaming. I was very sad, and it's still happen. It's very hard to believe that.
It's happening. It's still happening.
Yeah. Because is the Abrahamic God not the prophet not set the standard, not set the norms to how to live. So that's the matter, because somebody married so many with so many girls. So how can the believers say is wrong? Nobody stopped them because they are bound by the religion. Is okay. I'm right. So there's all Abrahamic religion. The Quran say everything coming in the pair. So what kind of pair is this? 1 is equal to 11.
Yeah.
You call the pair.
Yeah. This is a very, you know.
The Quran wrong.
Quran says that we created you in pairs, and then 1 is
in
equal
pairs.
to 11.
This is not a pair. 1 is pair. 1 plus 1 is pair.
Yeah.
It's very sad, and it's due to the religion, because they thought like that. Is okay. Is right. If you want to do, you can do. But how can the people around just selling the girl with the why are you calling selling? I think the amazing is the marriage.
Yeah, but they know that they're selling. The fathers know that they're selling the girls. It is not marriage. It is they themselves were using the same word.
They need the money and they can sell the daughter. Is this the case?
The daughter is just a commodity. That's it.
Oh my God. Very, very sad. And people have to know in this 21st century, he is wrong. It's totally wrong.
So I think Carbon Curly, thank you very much. Nuriyah, you want to say anything here?
No, you've aced it.
Okay then.
Thank you.
Carbon Curly, thank you. We'll talk to you soon. Okay. Bye. Okay, so Gulzar is there. Hello.
Hello. Hi.
Hi. How are you?
Hello.
Good. So I got few quick questions as I took day off from my job. So I've been making questions for Nuriyah second time.
Yeah.
So
oh no, is this another rapid fire round?
No,
Okay.
it's already late.
Okay.
It's already late. Now, first question, I would be picking and making few comments on it. Like the problem with Pakistani Muslim women, that it's almost impossible to drag them into the discussion of religion and theology and science, because even they don't want to talk about it. I think it's all our personal experience. First, that's the biggest challenge with Pakistani women, how to initiate talk with them. another problem with Pakistanis or South Asians, they're not able to make a difference between the creator of the universe and the religious god. And because both are problems, like the creator of the universe is a mystery, we don't know. And but religious god like Allah, we know too much about the god. Like he is very interested how to dress, that god is interested how to do talaq. So now, Nuriyah, my question is how you convey your message when you discuss in terms of the god with Muslim women especially, or even people. Like how would you respond the difference between the creator of universe, that's a mystery for us, I believe you are agnostic too, and god which we know too much about him?
Yeah. So I think your question is basically, there's two parts to it. So I'm gonna kind of answer it in both of those parts. The first part is how do I approach dealing with Pakistani women and basically just getting this conversation started. So what I was saying to Ghalib earlier as well, like I'm not here to like waste time and like, you know, like debate apologetics and like Muslims who try and like come at me with like the same things. It's like banging my head against a wall. Like that's like, I'll literally leave that to like Ghalib and Haris do that really well. So I don't really have the time of day to do that. My whole thing is, and I'm not also from the community that would like kind of rip out the Quran and eat it, because I just don't think I'm going to appeal to women, and especially Pakistani women, when I'm trying to break them away from their faith. But my entire approach is kind of like what I did with my own like closest people around me, is to show them the source directly and say, look, this is what this says. Do you agree with this or not? Like, what do you think about this? Where is this positioning you? And my only two things that I would work with is the Quran and the Hadith. Like, those are the two things that are the most authentic and that people cannot turn away from. So if they read actually with their own eyes that like a woman's worth is half, her testimony is half, like, you know, a man is able to beat you, a man can have sex with you whenever he demands, angels will curse you all night if you don't have sex with your husband. These things, even if they're not willing to accept it, if I'm showing them authentic Islamic sources, for example, what we talked about earlier with the Quran saying, you know, almost giving permission to marry prepubescent girls. If I put that into the mind of somebody, then I just leave it. I won't push. I'll just let you go away and you think about that for a while, because that, as a woman, it will shake your faith. It will shake your faith because we are empathetic towards ourselves, towards our daughters, our unborn daughters. Like, you put yourself in all of these situations and you just think, hell no. Like, that's why earlier I felt so helpless watching the video of that girl, because if I could do anything in my power to snatch her away from that situation, I would. So the only things you can use, to be honest, is give them a taste of their own medicine, throw their own scripture back in their face and say, do you believe in this in the 21st century right now? Level with me. Do you agree? And again, for the same women that sit in the West and they wear hijab, I would do the same thing. But I think, yeah, in Pakistan, again, because there's a lot more taboo about talking about religion, and even in England, I can push the boundaries a bit more. But in Pakistan, these women are so scared because the whole society tells you, do not talk shit about the Prophet, do not question the Quran, do not question the narrative. So I have to be a lot more careful. But again, the best way to get a woman out is just to show her her own scripture. And sorry, the second part of your question was, yeah, I think that in terms of like the creator of the universe, you know, or whatever, kind of like the Big Bang and how the universe was formed and everything before that, as opposed to how much they know about Allah. I wouldn't say they know that much about Allah per se. I would just think that they're just told that Allah is the end all and be all of everything, and you should accept the Quran for what it is. And I also think they don't know much about the other side of things, because perhaps of a lack of education or a lack of curiosity. Because, I mean, as soon as you delve into like the science, it debunks the Quran immediately, you know, like where these religions profess to be like 6,000 years old, like the earth was created. And you're like, no, well, the universe has been around for like, you know, 13 odd billion years, and the earth has been around for another 4.6 billion years or something like that. Like, it blows the Quran out of like, and then you're shooting stars or missiles to drive away the devil. Like, if you tell this to an educated woman, honestly, her first instinct is to laugh. But a lot of these women haven't scrutinized or read the verses, even in their own language, to be like, oh my God, that's actually what God is saying. That when I see a shooting star out, or like on my travels, and if I'm looking in the Arabian or African desert, that shooting star is a missile to keep the shaitan and his waswasa away. That's laughable. But when you look into the science of it, you're like, oh, holy shit, that makes so much sense. Like, now I get it. It's just, honestly, I think, to sum up, sorry, I'm taking ages, but to sum up your questions, the answer to both is just education and reading, and just becoming less. I don't want to call all of these women ignorant, because they're definitely not. But there is a tiny bit of ignorance, because I was myself, to be honest. I would defend Allah, Alamia, if you will, to the core. It's only when I saw like my own scriptures, and then I was like, when I'm watching a documentary on the cosmos, why does that make so much more sense to me than what the Quran says? It comes naturally, way more naturally than Allah sitting on a throne above the water and blah, blah. That made no sense to me. I read the Quran over and over again to try and understand it. But when, what's his name? Neil deGrasse Tyson, or when, there's a really good English guy as well, Brian Cox, I think. Yeah. I mean, I would literally fall asleep listening to him, and I was like, these concepts make so much sense that I don't respect the Quran anymore, because you're telling me that same shooting star that he's described is shooting at the shaitan. Like, really? It's just, Lamia seems so weak in front of the shaitan as well. It's so funny, like the shaitan even got into the Quran. So how powerful is your Allah? But yeah, I think with women, it's just a matter of like, as soon as they're confronted with their own sources, a lot of them have internalized misogyny so much that you will actually think you deserve to be worth half of a man. You actually will believe that your testimony is worth half of a man, because you're like, yeah, we are women, we're emotional, like men are better, these are men's business, a man has to earn money and a man takes care of the family, so maybe I should just shut up and be at home. But do you know like how much you do not respect yourself to put yourself in that situation in the first place? And for me, when I just kind of press that angle and knock on the door and say, do you have enough self-respect to think that you are just deserving of the same equal treatment as the man? Hopefully that will get their minds ticking, and then that's all I have to do. The rest, the homework, they do themselves. And like, I have my own friends who are Muslim, but they like have had the same education as me. They don't really want me to say what I'm saying, but they supported me so much. And then I got messages from them, and they were like, oh my God, Nuriyah, you know what? All I want to say is thank you so much, because whatever you said, even if I agree or don't agree, you forced me to go and educate myself. You forced me to go and read. You forced me to look into slavery. You forced me to look into the hijab. And then it's up, and all I do is see them getting more and more and more liberal. So I think it's working, even if, they don't say, I don't want to be Muslim, that's fine. But also, please do not like just constrain yourself to what Islam tells you are. Sorry, Gulzar, that's
No,
it.
it's okay.
Gulzar,
Yeah.
anything
And
else you
just
have?
last thing, if you have time, just last, I will take one more minute. So first of all, I really, from my core of heart, I appreciate you guys are doing amazing job by showing your face, by showing your appearance. I wish I could do the same thing. But you guys are creating the history, because at this time, in order to educate women, we need more Nuriyah, we need more Sultan, Label, and Mahalija. And if I forget any girl's name, please do not backbite about me. I have to, maybe I forget. But numbers are a key. Why? Because in our marketing training, it was told that if you if you make one customer upset, that customer is going to make you lose 100 customers. Why? He's going to tell 100 people. Just like if we have more women, one woman can influence in our society more than man, because they are better at talking and convincing people. So we need like Nuriyah people. An amazing job you guys are doing. That's you people think you are here for making money. That's very stupid thing, because mullah is also making money. It's more than making money, because money, like doctors are also making money. When doctors are treating cancer, they're also making money. So money making is not the question, because you spend time and you ask for your time, but the work you are doing is very precious. And my last thing, I'm gonna let you go. I have a little bit nostalgia when I was looking your interview today. Not looking, I was watching your interview today. Sorry for my wrong grammar, but I do remember when in 2005 I was given a student visa. I went to UK, so I got nostalgia. Like I went to Bradford, Leeds, London. So my question from you, since as in British, have you ever been to Bradford? Because Bradford at that time, almost 10 years ago, that was getting radicalized. I was looking Brailsford Mosque over there. How is the situation right now? Is it worse or better? Because I know a lot of Mirpuri Kashmiri people live there and they're very much close societies. So what's going on in Manchester and Bradford, if you would like to throw light? And again, thank you so much, Ghalib Kamal, for taking me. Thank you.
Thank you, Gulzar. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much for your questions. Yeah, no, I just want to. I'm not going to take a lot of time with this one, but yeah, I mean, just to quickly sum up, those cities that you mentioned are pretty much exactly the same, if not worse, as when you were there. And this is why I'm saying like the urgency for the British government to start like really taking drastic action or showing that they're serious when it comes to cracking down on Islamism is really the need of the hour, and they're just not getting it, because obviously that's not how politicians win elections. And we have such a huge diverse population in the UK. We have so many British Pakistanis, we have so many British South Asians, and they're just not a segment of society that you're willing to ostracize in order to, like, you know, because that's politics for you. But yeah, those, I'm telling you, like, as I was saying to Ghalib earlier, there are pockets of the UK now, just because I've spoken out, that I would fully avoid. And that tells you something. I'm in the UK, I'm in a free Western democracy, you know, technically speaking. I shouldn't have to worry about, I mean, I actually will actively, there's certain Muslim, and it's the neighborhoods you mentioned. It's Bradford, it's Leeds, it's Manchester. Within Manchester, there's Rochdale, and these massive hotspots of South Asian immigrants who really hold on to those completely traditional conservative principles. And they've kind of like meshed into British society so much, where we have shows dealing with honor killings and shows dealing with forced marriages, where as soon as a girl has done, because GCSEs is like the basic level of education that you get, which is up to 16. There's shows where the father is trying to send the girl back to Pakistan to marry a cousin of hers at that age. And that there's all of these things are not problems inherent to England. They're problems that are remnants of Islam and the Pakistani culture, which are just bought over. So this is happening on a daily basis. Like, believe me, I would not show my face. I'm showing my face to the world, but I would not show my face in those parts of England by myself, like, you know, without having any self-defense mechanisms on me. Like, I would not put myself in those situations. So that just tells you how bad the situation is in some parts of the UK. But again, because I think the law is supposed to be on our side, and we've had amazing people like Mariam Namazi, Sadia Hamid, all these people have come forward before me, Ali Malik. So they've just helped, like, give me the confidence to come forward being in that part of the world. But yeah, you're right. These areas are very problematic. And as I was saying to Ghalib earlier, they're basically like you've just transposed literally like a village in Pakistan and you've put it in England. The mentality has not changed.
Okay. Yeah. So I think we will take Rakshit now, and after that we are going to end. So there are some super stickers. So Azma, who said sent a super sticker, then men praise women. I am the only person in the whole world who considers women as representing justice. No man besides me. I don't know what it means, you know.
That's kind of nice joke.
It's yeah. So Arham Jamal is again saying majority of men have Western effect. That's it. I still don't know what he means.
I don't know.
So Rakshit, how are you?
Hello, Ghalib, and hello, Nuriyah.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Hi.
Yeah, Nuriyah, if you want to respond to these, I don't know, you know.
I don't know what that means, to be honest. Otherwise, I would. But thank you.
I also don't know what it means.
I don't know either. Please, can you make your comments so we can respond, because I don't know what you mean.
So
okay, Rakshit, how are you?
actually, I'm fine. I'm doing great. And how are you? I hope you are
good.
all doing fine. So I think the topic is women in Islam, and 434, 38, 44, 66, 10, 282. Okay, that second chapter 282. That these are some of the verses which are really anti-women. And I think there is 4:3, Quran verse 4:3. which talks about slavery. I mean, you can do anything with women, even if they're married. This is about Islam. Ghalib, I sent the first link. Can you click on the first link?
You sent me a lot of links.
Top, first one, top.
Ramayana.
Yeah. Just click on that.
Okay.
Will show that. I know.
Okay. So you want to
usually,
supercharge some Tunnis now, I think.
yeah.
Okay.
So move to verse 31. Move to verse 31. Straight from there, we will read. Verse 31.
31.
Yeah.
Where do I click to get to the 31? This is 4. Okay. Okay, I'll have to go significantly down, and only then I would. Yeah, this is the 31.
So the sages have arranged
those. Yeah. You can.
Animals that are to be there in animal sacrifices like horse and other aquatic animals in that ritual according to scriptures. So of course you have to saying, oh, we never did animal sacrifice in Vedic period. Ours was very peaceful. So this is right out of Ramayana. Okay. Next slok is even worse. Next slok.
Okay, the 32nd.
Yeah. This one.
Okay.
300 animals are tied in the ritual post along with gem-like animal horse of that king Dashrath. Okay, so there are 300 animals which are tied to the pole that there is some sacrificial post to that. Next look. Okay, with great delight coming on her own, Queen Kaushalya reverentially made a circumambulation to the horse and symbolically killed horse with 3 knives. Okay, so it's almost like that little bit halal kind of thing. Animal dead, slowly you cut a kind of thing, but at the same time they're doing it symbolically. Horse is probably dead. Next one is even worse. Why? Because she sleeps with that horse for a night. Queen Kaushalya.
What?
Yeah.
What? No.
Yeah, she sleeps
34
for
or
a night.
35? Which one is it?
Yeah, this one, 34.
34. Okay.
Yeah, desiring the results of ritual, disconcertedly resided one night with that horse that flew away like a bird.
Okay, resided. Maybe she just fell asleep next to it.
Yeah, that kind of that. Next again. Next. Okay, that next. 35th.
Okay.
So thus the officiating priests of the ritual, namely Hota, Advaryu and Udgata, have received in their hand the crowned queen, the neglected wife and a concubine of the king. Next, as a symbolic donation in the ritual by the performer, the king. So the king donated his queen, a neglected wife, and a concubine. Concubine means like her sex slave, okay? To those 3 priests as a part of the ritual. So folks, those who say there is no dogma, there is all great things, you have to just show these things to them.
Okay, then Rakshit, thank you for coming. Okay, we are going to end it here now. And
I know. I mean, it was taking long time. I just wanted to join before I could have shown more of this. What all these things are there in Hindu scriptures. But I know. I mean, I think it's a great job you both are doing about enlightening the society.
You are doing good job.
And congratulations to your science channel.
Yeah.
That's great content.
Sure.
I really liked it.
Yeah,
it's a great content.
The next video is coming tomorrow. The next video is going to be tomorrow.
And if possible, I would like to do a live with you on book review of called Sapiens, Homo Deus, those sort of books. Because
that can come. I cannot promise for that right now because I would have to read Sapiens once again, and I've done it already. And I don't know.
It's right here.
Yeah, I also have a copy.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
she
so,
has it.
yeah. I also have a hard copy of *Sapiens*. So I think I've read it once complete and once half. So
I
I'm
think you just,
occupied
yeah, the
into a few
audio.
things, and it's taking a lot of time right now
Yeah,
to
I
work
know, I
on
know.
those things,
I'm
especially.
just talking in
Yeah.
future. So, because for me personally, Yuval is a very much an inspiration for me in many ways. Because religion and history go in parallel. People confuse mythology for history, but if you show the proper history from evolution point of view and from a direct archaeological evidence and DNA point of view, right, you can debunk 98% of religious claims. The rest of the 2% is just a pseudoscience. So that's what I
Okay,
look
Rakshit,
at it.
then I think we'll move
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Okay. See you then. See you then. Bye.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Rakshit.
Yeah, good
Okay.
night from India. Bye.
Good.
Bye.
Okay.
Good night.
Okay. So, Nuriyah, do you have 10 more minutes? We'll talk to Mo and then we'll end.
Okay, done.
Okay.
Can we
Hello.
just,
Hi, Mo.
Ghalib, can we just highlight the super chat and then we can move on as
Yeah.
well?
So, Aziz Morani is saying, you would read it.
No, go ahead.
Okay, Aziz Morani is saying, Miss Khan, good luck with your channel. We are all with you. All Ghalib Haris, Miss Khan, such others like you. Thank you,
Thank you for
Morani
all your
Sahib.
support.
Hi, Mo, hello, Mo, you there?
Yes, sir, I am. How you doing, first of all?
Good. How are you?
All right.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show. I'm kind of late, but welcome to the show,
Yeah.
Nuriyah. Ghalib is doing an amazing job.
He is indeed.
Thank you, Mo.
Is. About the woman in Islam, my question to you is, how would you consider a woman marrying to a Muslim, a Mu'min, a hardcore Muslim, a Western woman marrying to a hardcore Muslim who actually lives in the West, portrays like he's such a nice guy and everything. 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, 2 kids later, she finds out he's not even near to what she was thinking. Have you come across with such women? Because I have come across with many like that.
Sorry, the woman finds out the man is nothing like she imagined, or vice versa?
Yeah. This is what he's asking.
Okay, yeah, no. So the man was kind of acting one way and then he's completely switched?
The taqiyya.
Taqiyya, yes. See, look, I think I know this is really wrong, but whenever I do encounter people in my life who say they have they're dating or they're falling for a Muslim man and they're not Muslims themselves, I feel really bad, but I try and warn them that, listen, as soon as he's got you and things are different, and once you've signed a piece of paper, it could all change for you overnight. You will be asked to cover up, you might not be allowed to work, your freedoms are going to be taken away, your basic privileges that you would have had, because they present this really rosy form of Islam to you in the beginning, and then they'll kind of they'll mix in the whole romance aspect with I do this because I protect you and I want to protect your honor, and you see those elements of Islam creeping in. But what these women don't realize is that once it tips over, it's actually going to take away so much from your life that you took for granted when you weren't with a Muslim man. So obviously I don't want to make sweeping generalizations about Muslim men. There's some amazing ones out there. I would personally never date one again, but there are probably some good ones out there. But yeah, I think it is very much it's a tactic almost. It's like the chase, and once you've got them, and I'm sure hopefully I'm going to have women on my channel who will actually be testament to this and say, yeah, this is what I was told and this is how he switched. Because I think when it comes to non-Muslim women, they really take advantage of how much they don't know about Islam, and then they will kind of portray all of the things that they want this woman to abide by in a really rosy way about they're doing it because they love them so much, or because they don't want other men looking at you, or they're doing this for various reasons. So yeah, that is a massive problem. And I think a lot of women who don't understand that this could get a lot worse because Islam gets a lot worse, and this is just the beta version of it, almost like that, you know, while they're dating. A lot of women have said, like, as soon as they're married, it completely changes, and then all these things are enforced. So I always try and stress the fact that if somebody is dating or seeing a man who is Muslim, like, A, how Muslim is he? What's his family like? You know, how traditional and conservative are they? Is he going to allow you the same freedoms afterwards? Like, you know, I personally know of a situation where a man has taken advantage of a Christian woman just because he got like involved with her because they both believed in a God, and so that was like a meaningful concept that they could both bond over. But then he actually made her sign a contract for a temporary marriage, and I went out with her for dinner, and I was like, do you understand where this comes from in Islam? Like, I obviously don't want to hurt her feelings and tell her, like, you know, you could be really being played by this guy. But I mean, that's how I see it. And she had no idea. She thought it was a beautiful concept that he wanted to, even before the civil registry, he wanted to sign this temporary contract. And I was like, this is what they would use for like slave girls and girls they just wanted a temporary muta with. Like, this is just so he can have sex with you, you know, and he doesn't have to feel guilty about it in the eyes of his God. And he's just taking advantage of the fact that you fear for God because she's Christian and she's God-fearing and God-loving. He monopolized on that and made her sign something she has no idea of. But then, you know, there's only so much you can delve into other people's personal lives without coming across as being, you know, an absolute douchebag. So
yeah, because see, to go further, a little bit further, and I'm not going to take much of your time, Ghalib, please. I'm just going to be here for a couple of more minutes. Um, go further. I know a few ladies who happen to be my friends, and they actually had such encounter. They all went with all the heat and everything. They went full speed. They went, got married. A couple of them got 3 or 4 kids in 5 or 6 years. Now the family, their own family, meaning girl's family, doesn't want to recognize them, doesn't want to take them back, and the guy has just abandoned them. So they are in a situation which, like I would say, a catch-22 situation. They cannot move forward, they cannot go back. And what is the message for them? I would take this program, this show, and take this clip out and post it to them, so they could also hear from your mouth directly.
yeah, so sorry, I just want to clarify their situation before I comment on it. So you said they've got kids with a Muslim man who now has left, and their families also disown them?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So again, I mean, honestly, first of all, I'm extremely sorry that they're having to deal with that, and that's the situation, and that's never easy. As a woman, I know it's not easy to even like think about raising kids like that on your own when you don't have the support of your own family. I mean, a guy leaving you is one thing, but then your own family also turning their back on you is exceptionally hard. Hopefully they live in a Western country where, you know, she has other elements of support like in society, which is incredible. Thank goodness for that. But yeah, I would just honestly, I just, as a general thing, I can't really speak for this individual story, but as a general thing, I mean, taqiyya does not just end when it comes to like apologetics or people trying to convert you to Islam. I don't want to be this person that says, you know, all Muslim men are bad. I've met some amazing Muslim men. Some of my best friends are amazing Muslim men. They're going to be amazing Muslim husbands. This is a weird thing to even say, a Muslim husband, but as a husband, they're going to be amazing. As a partner, they are amazing. But also the reality is none of them follow Islam the way Islam is meant to be followed. So there's a huge differentiation. And I just want to say to women who are dating Muslim men, you know, like, you really, really need to know what you're getting yourself into, because it's really easy to kind of put on this front before you get married or before you have children. And we all know Islam's love for children and procreating, like that is a Muslim man's prerogative, is just to, you know, when can he get you pregnant and how many children can you pop out for him? And, you know, you're doing your duty in so many ways. And then you should stay home and take care of them because that's what a good woman does. And it's just not fair because, you know, they're targeting these women who genuinely have so much going for them in their lives. Their family gives them more freedom. So it's sad to go from a situation where you had so much more freedom within your family and your upbringing, and then this Muslim man comes along, kind of gives you this whole spiel about falling in love with you and, you know, romances you or whatever you know seduces you, and then suddenly your entire life is turned upside down. And like you said, in this situation, he bounces from the equation and you're left kind of picking up the pieces. And sometimes they go beyond that and they force you to raise your children as Muslims, just because Islam is so patriarchal that children take after their father and that they should take their father's religion and their father's last name and all of that nonsense. So it doesn't end with just, you know, them like making you have children. I would honestly say, make sure that if somebody claims to be religious, like really press on that matter and like meet their family and try and like really delve into how religious they are. And like, honestly, I don't mean to sound like impractical or like just rude, but get things in writing if you have to. Like the fact that you'll be able to work, the fact that you have the right to divorce, make sure your marriage is registered secularly, like with the civil registry, so you have custody for your children and it's not like left to Islamic Sharia councils, which will inevitably give it to the father anyway. And yeah, just basically like don't fall for the lie. Like when they tell you Islam is so pretty and rosy and it saves women and it gives them rights and this is the religion that will treat you with the most respect and honor, please know that that's absolute bullshit. That is not the case at all. And like I know women who have fallen for that, but if you just read, all it takes, honestly, this was my get out clauses, reading the Quran in my own language and thinking for myself. So if you are dating a Muslim man or you're married to one or you're thinking about marrying one, before he gives you his version of Islam, make sure you check out Islam for yourself as a woman and compare that to how your parents have raised you and your moral upbringing and everything that you could do with your life, and just think if it's worth giving all of it up for this man and what he tells you to do.
Okay,
Right.
Mo,
Yeah.
I think we would end it here. Thank you
Sure,
for coming. You know, you're always a good addition. Okay, see you around, Mo, then. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and I hope that
Bye-bye.
answered your question.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
sure did. I had some other questions, but I'll put it for later on, some other time.
Sure.
Yeah. Maybe
Thank you so
next
much.
time when you come on Sunday, or maybe, yeah, in the Urdu stream, you can also come. Okay, so people just keep coming in. Sultan is also there. So, yeah, we'll talk to her briefly and then we will end. Before that, Greg has become a member, and thank you for becoming a member. Gulzar is also asking you something, if you can. How was your experience with Myth Vision interview?
Oh my God, Gulzar, it was so good. Derek is an amazing guy. I even said to Ghalib today, I was like, when we talk, are you going to ask me my whole story? Because I'm so tired of saying my story over and over. And I said the same thing to Myth Vision, and he was like, don't worry, like I'm going to interview you in a style which will just have a flowy conversation. And he really did. He brings a really unique perspective when it comes to interviewing. And I said that to him, like, I absolutely loved your style. And I premiered a video today. He showed up, and I want to bring him on my channel. So we're definitely going to collaborate. When we're going to like delve into like Islamic myths and like things that like Islam and Christianity have combined in terms of like some of these mythical stories that show up in the Quran that are stolen from Christianity. So we're going to collaborate on something like that as soon as I'm like back in the UK. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, thank you.
Okay. Amit is saying awesome stream. Please like and share, everyone. So Sultan is there. Sultan, hi.
Hi, both of you.
Hi, nice to see you again. How are you?
I'm doing well, under the weather a little bit, but doing fine otherwise. I just came here to show my support. It's always nice to see women coming out. It's like, you know, coming out of the closet, actually. If you see ex-Muslim women, you hardly see them, you hardly hear their stories and what they go through and what it is like to be on the other side of the light. So that's why I came here. More power to you, both of you. And I really admire what you're doing.
Oh, thank you so much. To be honest, like as a woman, you know this as well. Like you get, just before you are about to like speak out and stuff, like you have a lot of apprehension. But I mean, again, like especially in the Urdu realm, in the Urdu scene, there were so few women. But you know, listening to you and hearing the fact that, like, you know, you'd always just jump onto these streams, which, as Ghalib was saying earlier, like they're so male dominated usually. and then I'd hear you giving your input, and like you're trying to give the voice of reason from like a woman's perspective. And there's so many times, I swear, Sultan Salatin, where I was like listening just from the background in London, and I was like, oh my God, she's so right. But like, I really want to like be like, yes, girl, like what you're saying is so accurate. And like, because it's giving such a unique perspective. And I just felt like you were always kind of just outnumbered in that way. And I'm like, okay, if we're going to speak out and we're going to reach out to Pakistani women, then doesn't need to be a handful of us. There needs to be like a bombardment of Urdu videos all over YouTube all day, every day, you know? And I mean, the guys are doing a fantastic job. And as Ghalib said, like, you know, we should like, we've already hung out once, all of us women together, which was amazing. But I think, you know, forget sexual segregation and those Islamic views, but if all of us kind of just keep going, keep saying these things and keep highlighting these issues, then I mean, it's gonna at some point come up on someone's screen and they're just not going to be able to not click on it. But I genuinely just want to say thank you back to you, because voices like yours actually helped give me the confidence that, you know what, there is a woman standing up not against, because you're all on the same side, but standing up amongst all of these men and also giving your 2 cents. And that was huge for me, because I'm like, you're there trying to represent women. I was like, why not go in and give my 2 cents as well? So yeah, thank you so much. And we have a live streaming together as well next week. So guys, keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, Sultan,
So I
anything
won't
else you
take
have?
much time. I can't speak much because of my sore throat.
I hope you feel better soon. Rest up.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Sultan, I think she's done here.
Okay.
Or maybe she's kind of dropped. I don't know. She was going to
No,
say
I just wanted to say thank you and more power to both of you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you so
So,
much.
Nuriyah, you want to add anything in the end before we, go
No,
offline?
Ghalib, I feel like I'm sick of my own voice at this point.
Yeah, it happens sometimes, but more power to you. You are doing great work, and hopefully we are going to see much more of you, and more women would come out because of the work that you do. And hopefully one day we would see Pakistan and the greater Islamic world change in a positive way. And there is a lot of hopelessness, but sometimes uh, between all of this, chaos, we see something beautiful coming out. And let's hope Pakistan becomes better one day, and the whole world becomes better. So
yeah,
that is what.
well,
And thank you for
you,
coming.
Ghalib.
Thank you very much for joining me today. And hopefully next week, guys, we are doing one Urdu stream as well. We would do that, and you are going to be able to talk to Nuriyah here in Urdu, and hopefully you enjoyed today's stream. And you are going to see many more of these streams where we are going to collaborate with different people, and hopefully you will see us around. So thank you, Nuriyah. Then we'll end it here.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you so much,
Bye
Ghalib.
bye for now, and good
Bye,
night.
everyone.
Bye bye.